Israel confirmed way. Like everything's just been so weird and off about this. I don't know what's going on.
Look, if you look at what Araqchi did, so he gave Israel a deadline of 4 a.m. Tehran time. Israel complied with it. So if you look at it, their bombing stopped exactly when 4 a.m. occurred. Iran stopped bombing exactly when Trump's 6-hour deadline ended. So it seemed like they had two different deadlines, which it didn't fully make sense, but it seemed like that was the case based on their actions. So then there was this kind of situation where there was a ceasefire. We all thought Iran's stupid to agree to it, but Araqchi said by 4 a.m. Israel stops, and then we'll discuss the parameters of the ceasefire. So it seemed like it was a temporary truce while the agreement was made. The issue you've got is now with these two missiles, whomever is from, whether it's from Iran, whether it's from Israel, there's clearly an intention to break the ceasefire. So I guess we need to find out A, where the missiles are from, and B, what impact that's going to have on the ceasefire.
Hey guys, real quick, Solomon, you just said where they came from. I just wanted to connect a couple dots that I don't know if anyone has connected yet. And this goes into something that I know nothing about, but at some point over the last week and a half during this conflict, you guys had mentioned Azerbaijan. And I was just looking on Google Maps, connecting that with, you guys said missile fragments were seen in Lebanon, and I don't know, how credible that is, but I would, if you guys can, look into more credibility behind missile fragments in Lebanon, because based on a map, the trajectory, if there were missiles flying over Lebanon, that maybe came from Azerbaijan, and this would maybe go to Truth or someone else who knows the connection there. Cause
I have a video of it. Yeah, there's a video of it. So the interception happened so far north that the fragments actually fell on Lebanese territory. There's a video of it smoking on the ground in a field somewhere. So that's what we were saying earlier, is that this, whatever was launched, might not have ever even hit Israel. So yeah, we have that.
Can you also do me a favor? You broke out, Sully.
I bet you they're going to take chunks of the tail fins or whatever it is from the fuselage of those missiles, and they're going to have numbers on them, and they're going to be able to prove that they're from Iran when they're probably chunks that they found somewhere else and brought them over so they could show you the smoke trail, and they could bring it out and hold it up like the head of their kill. Look, here's the smoking rocket, the literal smoking gun. Here it is. This is the tail fin. Blah blah blah.
Sound check, Sully. I might have lost Sully.
Sorry guys, I was kind of digging to try to see what I could find. It's so weird that all the news, before when we were reporting on these different launches and waves, it was tons of news, accounts were posting this stuff, and it's just so interesting to me that there's this breach and there's no commentary on it from these sites. I mean, very, very little.
People like Suleiman have been up for 10 days straight, and they're finally ceasefire. They finally go to bed, and it's no.
Exactly. It's just because you went to sleep, Sully, that's all. Uh-oh, did his other account drop? Let me try to get it back up. I don't see it. But yeah, it's just very little reporting on it. And if you guys just break in at any time if you see anything.
Sure, want to hear something funny?
Yes, dear. What you got?
Tucker Carlson says he has no idea Laura Loomer is calling her the world's creepiest person, man or woman, we don't know, admitting he doesn't know where she came from or what she's about. Just some creepy Jew. Described her defense of Trump as bizarre and claimed she has zero real interest in the U.S. Carlson didn't hold back. He went so far as to call her a danger to the country. I agree.
Is he saying she's an industry plant?
So guys, never mind. I guess I need to look at a map. Because there was the first report that came out, and I'm so sorry, I'm going to go right back on mute. And then the first report that came out, it was said missiles are seen crossing Jordanian airspace toward the west. leaving the trails of smoke in the sky as Iran launched new wave of airstrikes.
So Vivid saying there's 3 Israelis were just murdered. Oh, hold on, it's from 5 hours ago. It's fine. But yeah, there's more than that. They killed 13. Response must be unprecedented. He's calling for.
See, that's what they're doing. They just wanted a reason for it to be, you know what I mean? Oh, this is going to be, Lord knows. Anybody that just wants to chime in, go ahead.
I feel like I called it, like from the false flag to the shutdown to when Trump was holding off the military-industrial complex for the deal and all that. I've been pretty on point with this so far.
Okay, so this is from AF Post. They're saying that Iran denied it, that they fired any missiles at Israel after ceasefire was announced, but members of Netanyahu's cabinet have already declared their intention to retaliate.
To our shock.
Yeah, indeed.
It's really funny how when the missiles first launched, everybody's like, the news is just coming in right now, like so fast, and all of a sudden it's just everything's so slow. There's no type of.
Yeah, we're getting zero news from Iran in terms of not Iranian TV, but from any official of Iran.
Yeah.
But Israel definitely made sure to flood everything when they seen the missiles come in. It's this whole thing seems super odd, man.
How many MAGA folk have we got on here? Because I voted for Trump, but the level of mind control that's going on right now is like something I've never seen before. People will disagree with Trump on this or that or the other, but right now, if you don't agree with going to war for Israel in Iran, people are literally blocking people, and they're calling out their old school friends, and just completely destroying them in public. I can't help but feel, and everyone I find that's stirring up these smaller areas, it seems like there's these giant bot farms of people that are coming in, glomming onto accounts like piranhas for anybody who disagrees with the war. It's really crazy. So there's probably a cyber warfare aspect going on to this already, I think.
I'll speak on that because I looked into it yesterday. The anti-war isolationist. This is actually historical. They've used it in many wars, and it is a thing. It used to be an American First. America First was anti-war, but now they're pushing the label, and I don't understand that because you'll be in spaces, and somebody will say isolationist 5 times in 2 sentences. But people are scared of that label. Why defend it? What are you trying to defend? But yeah.
The other one is panicking. You're a panicking if you're worried about World War III or anything.
Can you hear me? So I'm getting a statement from Iran's National Security Council, but it seems old. I don't know if this is new, but let me read it. In a statement alleged by the Iranian Supreme Security Council statement, it announced that Iran declared a ceasefire for the Zion and its evil supporters following 12-day infiltration. The council praised the Iranian people for their unity and described the recent operations, including missile strikes on Al-Udeid air base and targets across the occupied territory, as a decisive response to enemy aggression. It credited Iran's supreme leader and the armed forces for what it called a strategic victory that forced the enemy into retreat and unilateral halt of facilities. The statement warned that Iranian forces remain on high alert and ready to deliver a decisive response to any future attacks. So this seems like more about the ceasefire that was agreed prior and not about what the missiles are. But again, this could be them just ignoring the missiles, or it could be an earlier statement. Likely an earlier statement, but I'm just saying it now.
Should we change the name of this?
These pieces are old, guys. Sorry, one second. I just wanted to hear Raid. I think his hand went up again. Did you have something you wanted to add to that, Raid? And then we'll come back to you.
Yes, I'll just quickly. So what I see now is that I think Israel is not interested in a ceasefire, and usually what they do is either they hit themselves, they have a lot of means to do that, and then they announce that the other side breached the ceasefire. I was hoping that Israel would accept the ceasefire just because they want to regroup and rearm and do their preparations. It looks like Israel is not interested in a ceasefire. Yeah.
Real quick, don't you think we should change the name of this space, because it's basically saying Iran broke the ceasefire when that's actually up in the air right now?
Yeah, I told. Sorry, I keep on telling. I've sent a few messages across, but I think nobody's seen it. If you could put a question mark after the word ceasefire.
Or
allegedly.
or Israel false flag, something.
Well, just put the question
Israel
mark.
false flag, whatever. Yeah, something.
I put the question mark. Yeah. So I guess just to answer the question about the I agree with you, Matt. I think that it's deeper than what Coyote was talking about, although I agree with Coyote too. I think there's the isolationist thing, but no. There's like a heavy, deep brainwashing, crazy, but you can't blame Trump crew. Like, you just, God forbid, blame Trump for anything. Like, they cannot have a coherent debate or discussion.
No, it's like he is infallible, and there is no questioning him. And it's like, but just a week ago we were like, oh, where's the Epstein files? And everyone was cool with that. Or before that it was, well, the COVID vaccine, that wasn't good, that was okay. Or what about Hillary? Why isn't Hillary locked up? That's this. Or what about the Epstein files? But now, all of a sudden, this particular thing is, if you don't agree with it, you're out of the club. I honestly think that it's AIPAC or Zio money somehow has gotten injected in to certain people, and they basically said, and this is probably how they end up controlling all government.
Sorry. It says Iran's Supreme National Security Council statement on the ceasefire. Awareness, solidarity, resistance, and unique unity of the people shattered the enemy's main strategy and provided an opportunity for the steadfast and amazing strength of warriors of Islam. Why? This is interesting. And then it says Iran's armed forces managed to announce the opening of a new chapter in the deterrent equation against the American occupiers in the region.
What?
I'm getting another quote from Al Arabia saying the Iranian army said, "We have not launched any missiles towards Israel in the past few hours."
Okay, but it says Iran's armed forces managed to announce the opening of a new chapter in the deterrent equation against the American occupiers in the region by targeting their military bases deep within the occupied territories. Iran's armed forces remain at the highest level of readiness, with their fingers on the trigger, ready to deliver a decisive and deterrent response to any hostile action by the enemy. This is
sounds like an old statement.
Yeah, that sounds.
It does, but it was just 1 minute ago.
Yeah, but they prepare them, then they deliver them, and they weren't prepared for a false flag. I don't think they might not. No, I don't know. I feel like that's just a canned statement they were going to deliver anyway.
I honestly think there's cyber warfare going on right now.
Yeah, there could be.
100%. There's something. Yep.
Honestly, with the whole Trump thing, though, I do believe a lot of those guys are pushing for oh, if you're not for the war, trying to just basically act like Trump shit doesn't stink. I think a lot of those guys are those Q guys. Because I don't know if you guys remember, but when Trump was first getting elected, they were coming out with all types Q shit about him being basically the secret savior. He's supposed to be the one to fix all this shit. Something about John F. Kennedy's son or whatever. It's bro, I don't know if you guys remember that
guys, if we can keep it to the topic at hand. This is not the space for conspiracy theories, right? People are here for the news and actual legitimate information.
Oh, no, I'm just responding because he brought it up earlier, so.
Yeah, cool. So I'm just tweeting out this. A directive has been issued by the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu instructing all government ministers to refrain from giving media interviews or posting on social media until further notice. So we have that barrage of information, a barrage of statements from the Israeli side, but now there's a blanket stop on that. So we're not going to hear from anything from any side at the moment. I'm not sure what's happening. Maybe there's some negotiations going on, maybe some disagreement, maybe something's going on. We just don't know what's going on at the moment.
We need to see. I mean, if Israel attacks before this is cleared up, that'll be so bad. Hopefully it takes them a while to get that attack ready before Iran can respond. I'm just wondering why it's taking Iran so long to forcefully come out with, with a strong denial, past what we're seeing already.
People are going to defend them. It makes me wonder if their communications might be messed up too, but it's just a theory.
I have a Farsi source that says,
Bro, go ahead and make it seem like we're the victims now, because they have no leverage before.
Yeah, that's why that's confusing.
Like I said, it's really all about playing that we had world peace and then Iran ruined it. It's like they start the fight,
Exactly.
America joins the fight, and then now it's like, oh, and they just set that mind control out for everyone. It's world peace. It's world peace. It's world peace. Everyone's had peace. We had peace for like 2 hours. And then it's like everyone's already completely congratulating themselves, like, we have won, we were right, you are nothing, you're all pathetic. It's like, dude, give it a minute. You have no idea what's going to happen in the next few days. And then right away, all this stuff pops off, and it's so obvious. People are out of their minds right now. This is crazy what people are doing. There's definitely a level of mind control going on here. They're pushing weird topics, weird narratives. They're boosting posts of people that are pushing war, and they're crushing people with this that are dissenting. It's definitely going on.
Hey, Maze, I'm finna send you a link. It's Al Jazeera English. They got 9.1 million, but they're saying Iran's National Security Council agrees to ceasefire with Israel. Right now,
I know, I saw that already. I just read it.
You saw that? What the
It's
fuck?
old.
That was the statement that I read. So,
Yeah.
What the fuck?
so it okay.
Don't curse.
That was
Yeah,
a statement.
go ahead.
That was the statement I read. Now, we don't know if that was from the Security Council meeting that just happened or if it's a prior one, but it seems to just completely ignore the attack. So I don't know if it's because they're just completely ignoring it. This is negotiations with the Israelis. What's going on behind closed doors? Because even, what's his name again, Netanyahu has told the Israelis.
Yeah, when's the announcement? They said they're going to be releasing or announce. Is it?
I think it's been announced. I've seen a lot of statements actually from the Supreme Council.
But you were saying it was confirmed that Iran said that they did not send the missile somewhere. That was
like a double. Boom, we're going to retaliate, and then everything else has been.
Thing like that, then it's not beyond Israel to just think so. I think Israel wanted a ceasefire. I think that was the whole point of Trump's theatrics yesterday. I put this up saving way. And so
if it looked like Iran, if Israel and America were all by himself, and then evil Iran comes along and shatters this beautiful peace we've all been living under, then we can say, oh, see how they are, and then we can go to war with them and have the look of being, not the aggressor. That's what I believe it's about.
Go ahead, Truth Teller, and then we'll go to Raid and then Jeremy.
It looks like Israel may retaliate. They're going to say retaliate, but it's an aggressive strike because Iran never struck them first. And I agree, they want an off-ramp because they're weak and they need time to retool, to reset, to count their dead. They're still looking for their dead in the rubble in Beersheba. So, I mean, they've been struck really hard. They have been for 12 days. They've never been struck that way before. And they're still maintaining a whole lot of cope, especially with their followers and their influencers. So they're looking for some kind of advantage, at least on headlines, to appear like, the victim, like, hey, look, we adhere to a ceasefire. They never have. They've violated 962 ceasefires in their short history, so they're the king of breaching ceasefires. But then they act like little drag queens about it, just trying to play victim right now. Nobody's buying it other than the bigotards who think that Trump's a peacemaker, and he's not. It was a fake ceasefire proposal without even proposing it to Iran. He just preemptively stated there's a ceasefire in place, agreed to, and Iran didn't even know about it. I mean, this guy's just a complete fraud and a total disaster. I don't know how anyone can take him seriously. So, I never have. So he's a circus clown as far as I'm concerned. So now we'll see when Israel strikes back and then Iran strikes back, resumption of hostilities, and, business as usual. That's how I see it.
Any missile was launched towards the occupied territories in the last hours.
Did you guys see the post I put there? Like, it shows that 2 hours ago that they were talking about the breach, BBC, and it barely even happened an hour ago, which is crazy. Anyway, go ahead, Raid, and then we'll go to... wait, Jeremy, did you go?
No.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jeremy.
No, it's cool. It's cool. It's controlled chaos. Hey, I've been in here for the long haul pretty much since that late Thursday night, early Friday morning when this whole thing kicked off. This stream has been epic. I did want a quick commentary and a quick observation. Quick commentary is for some of the people in the room. You're in a space, and I don't. This is going to come across as condescending, but too bad. You're in a space where you're getting the best geopolitical analysis from all over the planet 24/7. And there are people that when they do come in here, you definitely need to yield and give them the right of way. Ryan Dawson has quite the resume. We already know, of course, Truth has spent an enormous amount of time in here and dedicated a lot of time to downloading an enormous amount of information, and that should be respected. Jackson is offshore. He's a United States citizen, but he has been all over the world and has a very interesting perspective. So coming in here, baked and or a little bit buzzed that President Trump is unwell. He's been unwell, but it's happening more at an exponential rate now. I mean, if you notice all of the photography that is published with him, he's always sitting down now. He's sitting behind his desk, where normally, you have like some luminaries or somebody like that would come into the Oval Office, and the President of the United States is going to be standing next to them for photographs. For some reason, the optics now are him sitting at the desk and them flanking him. It's just something to look at. The images that have been published of his hands, the discoloration, things to keep an eye on. And finally, I'll just say this: what he's been saying, what he did last night, was so, I guess, unstatesmanlike. Conducting foreign policy from your half-assed social media platform is horrible, horrible optics. I don't care about the uppercase or whatever you're doing. This is a moment where you would expect the statesman to step before a microphone and to talk to the world and project strength, maturity, etc., instead of these really just bellicose postings, if you will, that are probably not even. He's dictating them, collabing with Steve Chiang, if you know who that is. It's his, little right-hand man troll. So, anyways, that's the only thing I wanted to add. I thought as soon as I heard that last night, I'm just going, you got to be kidding me. If you're going to be declaring world peace, you at least want to be standing in front of a microphone, in front of as many cameras as possible, and talking to the world. Let him see your face, your body language, and everything.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, and to add to what you said, I think you made a golden point. But to add to it, never mind the fact that he didn't address the public. When he did his tweet, he wrote it so badly. We were on here for a couple of hours trying to decipher what he actually meant in terms of the different aspects of the ceasefire, in terms of the 6 hours, the 12 hours, the 24 hours, and it never even lined up with anything that actually transpired. Back to you, Mez.
I was just gonna ask: is anybody else's feed very weird? Doesn't it seem like there's old? I don't know what's going on right now, but
it's spooky, isn't it?
The search feature isn't working. I wanted to ask Jeremy real quick, because I keyed in on this too. Remember, right before he made the decision to strike Iran, there was that video of him getting off of Marine One and going to the White House. That little walk, right? He didn't take any questions. Did you get any cues off of that? It was right before he made the decision to strike Iran.
Yeah, he kind of waved it off really quick and didn't want to address it. I'll give him a pass on that one. The only thing I can say is everything that is happening now, them trying to act like they're negotiating, it's all astroturfing for PR. However, a long game is unraveling before us. Everything that went on, the original attack on Iran was planned long before they actually fired the shot. Trump collabed, in my opinion, the final meeting to basically lay out the outline of how things were going to progress was at Camp David the weekend before, when he had all the VIPs, military guys, the whole thing, and nobody knew what they were going to talk about. They were just all going there, and then lo and behold, we hear about this. Trump's been involved. The United States government has been intricately involved from the start, from the planning. The planning probably went way back. Again, nothing is random with this crew. They planned Doge. Doge was planned way before the inauguration. It was a smokescreen to bring in AI government. I'm sorry, I'm diverting. But the point is just know that it's not necessarily they're presenting as controlled chaos, because Trump kind of shoots from the hip with his mouth. But all of their actions, they have a long to-do list. And it's just going to unravel and unfold. And there's going to be a huge coping mechanism by his sycophantic supporters, because they're going to be surprised, because they're expecting something different, and they're not going to be getting it. So what we're dealing with, and what Matt was talking about a little while ago, we're dealing with the cognitive dissonance. That exists on this platform in particular, because there's a lot of people that migrated back here. They were
But so this look, I agree with the whole notion that Iran should have kept going at Israel. I don't even think they should have even tagged any of the U.S. bases, honestly, because it'll just entice America to actually join in the war. But they should have really just kept going after Israel, honestly. And they have proven to the world that Israel can be tagged severely, badly. They are not as great at defense as they say they were. That's with other nations helping them defend themselves. So, but there is also the other side. So, agreeing to this ceasefire, Iran has a chance because look, we all saw it. They are heavily infiltrated with Mossad agents inside the country. So, they kind of have to work out and see how they can get this infiltration out. And I think, them thinking about a ceasefire is like, well, we got to think about how we're going to get this internal infiltration out of the country. I mean, I don't know what Ryan thinks or Truth thinks about that, but I know it'll give Israel a chance to rearm and all that. But I think Iran's probably thinking like, okay, they can rearm more they want. Like, we already proved we can tag them, and we haven't even used all our full capabilities of our like strongest missiles yet. So technically, them rearming won't really do anything more than just they're still going to be able to get hit badly. And I don't know. I mean, I think that Iran really needs to kind of figure out how they got infiltrated and who are the traitors inside the country and kind of go from there. I mean, I don't know what you guys think about that.
Well,
That is. Go ahead.
No, go Ryan.
That is part of it. Uprooting Mossad, getting the rats out of their own. Another thing is Israel's surprise attack did have a big impact. People don't want to acknowledge that, but their main method for intercepting missiles was not waiting till they got to the other side and hoping Iron Dome would catch it. It's hitting them on the way up or hitting the ballistic missile launchers in Iran. And because they were there early and a preemptive strike and kind of own the sky, Iran could not just pull out hundreds of launchers and fire everything at once. It was a whack-a-mole thing. Like, if once they used some of their mobile units and things, but with the reset and then knowing, watching, they could deliver such a more powerful blow if they can get them out. It doesn't matter if Israel comes over because they can fire as that's happening. But with them hovering over them, it was kind of like a hide and seek game. They don't want to lose a lot of their ballistic missiles. So it benefits them too, but Israel, it benefits far more. Their public was sick of running back and forth to air raid shelters, and you can see every day, it doesn't matter about the number of missiles because the quality went up too, like they were using better missiles. There were more casualties, there was more going through, they were hitting the defense systems, and this is despite going over Iraq and Jordan and having layers of air defense from several countries, plus all of Israel's stuff, plus the Aegis system sitting offshore, and THAAD and Patriot and so on. They were doing great damage to Israel, so they needed a pause too. And their F-35 units too, they need a lot of down maintenance time. They're very good for like one raid, and then you gotta repair them. I don't expect this ceasefire. I think it's pretty fragile. I see both sides regrouping, and they both can see, okay, the U.S. has offered this. We really don't want to drag it on with them. Trump's basically told them, look, accept this or we'll just bomb you again. So they took it.
All right, so look, Israel's objectives were 1 and 2. 1 is to do the regime change. It failed. 2, dismantle the nuclear facilities. That was, their fake objective, because I think they didn't really thought it was possible to do that unless America came in, full throttle, and they haven't done that. So that's another failed objective as well. But they haven't given up on those plans. They need a little bit of a reset and also to change the headline because they're still looked at as the aggressor, the guilty party. So they needed that breach of ceasefire headline, and now one of their commanders stated they're going to retaliate. So resumption of hostilities, they haven't quit. Now, in terms of how they strike, they haven't been doing a lot with the F-35. 6 of them have been struck down, whether people want to admit it or not. And, one of Iran's think tanks provided evidence of that, of one of them that has been struck. They've been relying more on domestic terrorism from the terror cells from within, and because you can operate those still remotely. The ones that are left over, Iran's been sweeping a lot of those. So they've been launching like Spiker missiles and also these loitering drones that do quite a bit of damage, in addition to car bombs and tires being set on fire. Those guys have been caught on video just to look like they're doing some serious damage, but in fact it's just internal. And they've also been launching missiles from Azerbaijan into places like Tabriz and other cities as well, because there's Mossad bases in Azerbaijan. But then they've been giving some of the credit to the Air Force. Like one time they claimed 60, they don't even have 60 F-35s, but the 60 fighter jets went and did a mission and came back. Why would you send 60 fighter jets to do one mission? That's just simply a lie. It's costly and it's easy to spot. So they're putting out fake headlines of what their Air Force has done just to glorify it, to improve morale while they're getting decimated. Their main challenge, though, is to deal with how they're getting decimated, because they have no answer, no response to Iran's missiles. And if they strike again, which I think they will, Iran's going to strike back even harder. And their hope is to still find a way to get the U.S. in and say, hey, look, they breached the ceasefire. Can you have our back now? You know, can you get in here? Or a false flag. And another false flag, you know, say strike the Nimitz, the aircraft carrier that should be there, or one of them, and say Iran did it. You know, where there's a will, there's a way. You know, the Israelis don't quit on wanting to do this regime change, because Iran still has its full capabilities, still a nuclear power. It may even be very close to a bomb if they don't already have one, and the regime's intact. And it's exaggerated to think that they had much of an impact from Friday the 13th, because what Israel tried to do was a full-scale decapitation strike, take out like 400 officials, you know, with the regime, the politicians, nuclear scientists. They failed. They got about 15 to 20. They got nowhere near what they wanted. And Iran responded right away. They literally recovered in less than 12 hours. That's how you can assess the failure of the strike. Because if it was a real effective strike, say they're going to claim pager strike, for instance, Iran would be noticeably weaker and unable to respond that quickly. So that failed. And they've been failing ever since. They're still trying to find a way up because they're persistent, and you know, they still want to expend as much energy as they can trying to weaken Iran. Hasn't happened yet. I'll pause.
Thanks, Truth Teller. Guys, there's definitely a late filter that's pushing these, like, I'm getting posts that are now talking about the ceasefire, like Russia commenting on it. This is very strange. I don't know. Go ahead, Truth. Did you have something else on?
Well, there were two ceasefires. There's like the bullshit one he announced on Truth Social that wasn't ratified by anybody, him trying to force things, and then an actual ceasefire.
True. That's very true. Okay, we do have a lot of hands. I believe we were supposed to go to Raid, and then Coyote, and then Carl and Paul. And Ryan and Jackson, just feel free to chime in anytime. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. Ceasefire. The one thing about ceasefire, whenever there's talks about ceasefires, all parties always, never any party would say, no, I don't want it. So that's one thing. So whether Israel wants it or Iran wants it or the United States wants it, we can't rely on statements. Now, what I see is that, yes, Trump wanted an off-ramp. Trump saw that there's no way to completely destruct the nuclear capabilities in Iran. So they threw this hit and they said, yeah, we destroyed it. That's it. Okay, we're done. Now, as far as Iran, let me just quickly say, I do not believe for a second that a missile, a missile that could fly 1,200 kilometers can fly out of Iran without the full approval of the hierarchy in the armed forces. Yes, they got hit, but I've seen microcosms of Iran's fighting style and Hezbollah for the last 40 years. So I understand how these things function. I understand the difference between rhetoric and what they can do, and I understand when they do statements what they mean and what they don't mean. To be completely objective, I would say if the case was that this missile was launched due to errors in communications or something like that, what Iran would do as per character is they would be silent about it. When they officially deny doing it, then I take it seriously because they do not lie to the people. This is the armed forces, right? That's one thing. The other one is that yes, there are rogue elements that are Mossad within Iran. I think their impact is mostly sabotage, little terrorism. But when we're talking about a missile that's I think 7 tons, 9 meters to be able to fly to Israel, there's no way and a cell inside Iran can do that. Absolutely. I mean, they're struggling launching drones from within Iran. Now, to go to Israel, I agree with Ryan. Absolutely. All the signs say that if Israel had a normal brain and it's not a lunatic state, yes, they need to lick their wounds for a while at least. But, if I look at the decision-making dynamic within Israel, let's not forget that the main decision maker is still Netanyahu. And let's not forget that Netanyahu now, his nightmare scenario is a ceasefire, because then the spotlight is on him, and then the Israelis are going to ask a lot of questions. There's a lot of question now. The whole idea of Israel being the safe space for Jews now is completely shattered. So there will be a lot of internal fights. Let's not forget, before October 7th happened, they had been struggling for 2 years to build a government. There was a lot of protest against Netanyahu. So Israel, as an entity, as a system, as a country, as a government, is very wobbly, extremely wobbly. And the only thing that will keep holding it together is that the war is still on. There is no ceasefire. So I believe it's a false flag. I believe Israel, yes, it's tired and everything, but Netanyahu will not stop the war with Iran. Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Do we know that this solo missile was from Tehran, not the Red Sea or anywhere else?
Exactly. It can be from a lot of places. And one thing also regarding sorry, I'll just take one more quick minute, hopefully less than a minute. We have to understand that when it comes to the Israeli Air Force, and you guys have been watching how Israel operates globally and within the United States, do not believe for 1 second that all the American bases within the Gulf area are accessible to Israel. It can use them. A lot of F-35 are probably have gone and landed there. I remember early in the war on Gaza that even F-35s that were owned by the UAE were even flown over. So when it comes to Israel's Air Force, you have to keep the possibility that all kinds of Air Force, whether Saudi, UAE, all kinds will fly in the sky, will do all kinds of work. So, yeah, I'll finish there.
Some audio issues, right?
Yeah, okay, but no, my point is that the IDF, their Air Force is healthy, it's fine, there's a lot of resources for them. That's all.
Thank you, Ray. I appreciate it. You had a little clicking noise in your audio, but yeah, anyway. Okay, so did that answer your question, Ryan? I just want to make sure before I go to cut.
The claim seems to be that this came from Iran, as in like from Tehran, not from the Red Sea or anything. And Iran's saying, no, it wasn't us, or we didn't order it. And so I'd like to know then what happened to it. Was it intercepted? Did it land on something? Because just because you had air raid sirens that said, oh, look, something's coming. Okay, was anything there at all? Was the proof of that? Was it shot down? Where above Israel was it? Like what city? It seems to be very vague, which makes it more suspicious.
I agree 100%. Coyote, jump in.
Now, someone posted a picture of the missile. It looks homemade. It dropped in some town named Yarun. I'm not sure where it originated from. It's still under investigation.
Thanks, Truth. Coyote?
So I'm looking at the big MAGA accounts, and it's rather odd because I haven't seen anything on this, right? So I put together little theories as a prediction of what I think. I think that this is basically it's just like, because it happened at nighttime, right? The ceasefire, the supposed ceasefire. I don't see that Iran has agreed to a ceasefire. Like there's no evidence like concrete. And we're gonna wake up tomorrow, and the influencers are gonna say that Iran broke the ceasefire, and that's where we're at, and we're gonna come up there and say no, they never agreed it. They're gonna overbear us with Zionist, fucking AIPAC money. Sorry about language. But it's very odd, like, that nobody's posted that. Not a single MAGA large account has posted that. And I did want to say it, I think Jeremy was saying it earlier. It is Ryan Jackson and Truth and all these guys, man. Y'all do fantastic work. Sully, Adam, Mays. I do want to say that, man, because I do keep up with y'all. But I appreciate it. But that's just my prediction on this shit, because this is wild.
They're waiting for their script. When the script goes out, they'll all post it around the same hour, and it'll be a fact.
Exactly. But I'll just tell you this. There's been patterns, right? Every time they're about to do a wave, they announce the wave and they fire. Anytime that it concludes, we see the videos come in. Then the other side will announce that they're about to launch a wave. This was extremely odd. Trump coming on and saying, yes, there's going to be a ceasefire, and giving this weird, like, decoded, cryptid timeline. And then Iran stating that they never got that proposal at all, but they'll oblige. All of this was very weird. And now you see a single rocket. Okay, why would you even waste your time? Because the last hit on Israel was actually the hardest that they hit, because it's obviously been increasing in force and power, right? So why would they just do that? And you know that the people that got arrested and all the Mossad people, they all had devices and things that, to be able to assemble explosives, which is another thing that's interesting. This is clearly, a false flag. This is clearly and the thing is that I think that they've already launched an attack, or they're preparing to launch an attack back to Iran. But all of the digital, the news feed is all messed up and timestamps. So I don't know what's going on, but it's definitely something crazy. Let's tap in with Paul real quick, and then we'll go to Carl. And guys, repost the space, please. Make sure you're reposting and following Solomon and having his notifications on. Follow Ryan, follow Jackson, and everybody else up here. Truth Teller, Trelly. Go ahead, Paul.
Thank you, Mace, and thank you to the hosts, Suleiman and Adam, that you guys do allow even people that you disagree with to come up on the stage, right? And I appreciate that, as a free speech absolutist myself. And anytime I'm in a closed position, I let people come up that I disagree with as well. I say that knowing that I probably am a little bit in that disagreement category right now. And I'll just say that, look, most of the people I talk to in the MAGA movement, we don't really care what the MAGA influencers are so-called saying. We're looking forward to seeing what leadership says. So I want to see what is the official word from, like, Donald Trump, the Pentagon, those guys, and what they're going to say about this. And my guess is this is a nothing burger. There are people right now, as we have a ceasefire going, that are going to try to do what they can. That people want war, people want aggression, they don't want peace, and they're going to try to be agitators, and they're going to try to make something happen. The United States right now is not going to overreact to this. They didn't overreact to the a little bit of attack that happened in the Iraqi bases, because there were no casualties, there were no results. A lot of this is theater to save face, and that's fine. If there's no casualties and whatever happens, fine. If the thing got intercepted, okay. One missile is not going to stop a ceasefire, and I guarantee you in the morning it's going to continue. And the minute that Trump and all these guys wake up and they look at this, they're going to be like, all right, whatever. We're going to keep peace as long as we can. Now, if someone in Israel is trying to agitate war, I think we're going to strong-arm them and tell them, no, we do not do this. We don't approve. And they're not going to. So that's my guess. Of course, I've been... I feel like I've been right.
Know what we're dealing with? Do you know Israel? I think you've been around me long enough, Paul, to know that this was exactly what Israel wanted. And they already are trying to unleash havoc on Iran. And they're not even showing or reporting where these so-called drones or missiles, whatever, the rocket that they supposedly saw, like this. I think so. They are notorious for lying and false flags. That's all they do. So I don't know. I just think that they're not going to be like, oh, okay, you just did that. Well, it's all right. No big deal.
No, I think the argument is
Trump, they would have never struck Iran. He told them not to do that.
Yeah, I'll follow up with this. There are people in Israel, obviously, that also want the war to continue. The only, I have faith only in the United States and Donald Trump in this situation. I don't trust Israel. I don't trust Iran. So what I'm just hoping is that we can be that mediator that we're trying to be. And like a lot of people overreacted to this whole situation, and I get it. We all chose our sides and whatnot. I just supported my president because he has intel that nobody on this app has. You can all speculate. We can all speculate. We know this. We know that. Donald Trump knows what's going on. He made a decision. It was a tough decision. But this guy has a track record of trying to make peace in the world.
Why doesn't he release the Epstein list? Or the JFK, RFK, 9/11 files?
You're asking me a question I can't possibly answer.
I have a question.
But I can tell you he didn't go to... But Truth. Okay, wait, Truth. If Truth wants to go there, all right, Truth. Well, has he been shown anywhere, even in the files that have come out, that he went to the island?
Well, Elon says he's on the list.
Right, but did he go to the island? Because you're a smart person, so I know exactly what you're saying.
The island. Pedophilia at Epstein's house in New York, but there's more places to do it than just the island. Kathy Johnson already made the accusation he's a pedophile, that he slept with her at 13. Okay? He's already got the accusation.
Oh, yeah, you're talking about the Jerry Springer produced interview, right? That's the Jerry Springer produced
You can get slapped in the face and tossed around like a rag doll by Trump himself. You'd still suck his dick, alright? That's just who you are.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry, that was you, Adam, that muted.
Yeah, I just wanted to calm it down. I just wanted to talk to Paul about one thing, because you said Trump has intelligence that no one else has.
Worshipping another human being is sick, Paul.
He doesn't worship.
I know you can't contain yourself, Truth, but I'm trying to hear Adam. Go ahead, Adam.
You said he has intelligence that no one else has. But did you see recently that he said he didn't care about the intelligence and didn't believe the intelligence, and that he actually went off what he thought his approval rating on TV was, or how Fox News was.
Let Adam finish what he's saying. Truth, please let him finish.
Yeah, so he said he said on two occasions. On one occasion he said, I don't care about the intelligence, I don't believe the intelligence community. And then on another occasion he said he goes based off how things are being reported on TV, how people are liking his ideas and what the reception is on Fox News. So it seems like he's not really using that intel that you think he has.
Well, Adam, I would disagree with that, Adam, because you have to understand Trump has to battle within deep state problems within his own government, and he's been doing this since he got elected. We obviously have dark forces in here. We have people that have been manipulated that are connected to Mossad, and I think everybody here knows that.
Dismantle the deep state.
Oh man,
Isn't that what he promised?
You just can't contain yourself, can you, Truth? I know Truth wants war. You're a war advocate, so I get it. I get it.
I thought.
I'd like to answer him.
Go ahead, Ryan.
So the argument was about the solo missile is that later Israel can say, well, Iran broke the ceasefire, so we reserve the right to hit them when we see fit, and so they will do another preemptive strike. Israel seems to be wanting, and then you can see a lot of the worst scientists saying this already, is to refocus on Gaza, like finish the job of their ethnic cleansing there. And, with a ceasefire with Iran, it allows them to do that. There's no resistance. Like, if they do have a ceasefire and the Iran and Houthis can't come to the rescue, they can go into Gaza and they can slaughter those people in front of the world and no one will do anything about it.
Ryan, I won't push back on that. I feel like Gaza and Iran are two different things. To me, they're not the same. And I agree with you. I think this is a terrible situation for Palestinians right now because obviously everybody's looking at Iran. It's a distraction to other things, and I think those are one of the things that are not going to be in the limelight. So I actually agree with you in terms of that.
Well, Gaza and Iran are different things, but to Israel, I'm telling you what the neocons themselves are saying. Spotritz and others focus on Gaza, meaning finish the job in Gaza. Without Iran, like Hamas they're not completely gone, but they've been decimated. Israel's been shooting people trying to get food, and they've done it every day of this war. They completely destroyed Gaza City, completely destroyed Khan Yunis. They've probably killed hundreds of thousands, and they're going to continue their ethnic cleansing. That's what these wars are about. They've annexed land in Syria. They still hold pieces of Lebanon. They're furthering their annexation of the West Bank, and they're ethnically cleansing. Well, it's a genocide in Gaza. And the only resistance to that, outside of Hamas, was Hezbollah and the Houthis, which were backed by Iran. And prior to that, Iraq, but that was the first country they took out. And so he's still on the script. They still want to deal with Iran, but they bit off more than they could chew. So this ceasefire is only a pause so they can regroup, get more defense weapons, come up with some other clever plan like they did with the drone strike in Russia. They tried to do the same thing in Iran. It's not over. But for Palestinians, there is no one to help them anymore. And the world really needs to say, hey, knock it off. These people are starving to death. You've already destroyed 2 or 3 cities. But I don't see that happening. And it's not Russia, China. No one's coming to help them. Israel's going to murder these people. They've been killing 64 2 days ago, 114 yesterday. I mean, these are just civilians, just gunning them down. And when they ran out of the way, this is part of their project. I mean, that's the whole point. They want that territory. They think that God gave it to them. And they're going to continue to kill these people. And it's not like the Iran thing was a distraction. They've been killing these people, and they were killing them before October 7th. No one cares. There's no reporting on it at all. There was no reporting on Yemen when they were starving to death in that long war with Saudi Arabia and the UAE. It's not until really X was liberated by Elon Musk and you could have spaces like this that you could draw any attention to it at all, because it's completely censored on social media and never on cable news. And these people just die in silence. And the main resistance was Iran. But the argument about the solo missile that I don't agree with, I think it was from Iran, it was just a mistake or whatever, but is so that they can say, well, now when we hit again, we're not the aggressor, because remember, back then they already broke the ceasefire. That's the counter argument.
I'll just say, Ryan, I don't think it's enough. I don't think that this is going to lead to, oh, well, that's it. The ceasefire is over. If one rogue agent in Iran that didn't get the message or was just a rebel or whatever, Iran said that wasn't us. So I think, again, all this is happening while Donald Trump is sleeping. When he wakes up, he's going to be like, no. He's going to talk to Israel. He's going to be like, don't make this a reason for war. Let's try to keep the ceasefire going. He's going to lead, and I have faith in him. Now, for me, like I said, Gaza and Iran are 2 separate situations.
I feel for the Palestinians. I really do. I pray for them often because I hate what's going on over there. I'm not a fan of Israel by any means, but America and Iran do have a history, and it gets ignored. The nuclear threat, because I hear people say, well, Iran was cooperating with the IAEA. Well, what did the IAEA say?
What do you know about America and Iran's history?
Well, I'm trying to talk about it, Truth, if you want to let me keep going. And then you can hear what I can say, and if you want to tear up my argument, feel free, but you got to let me talk. Okay, so again, I hear about the cooperation that Iran had with IAEA, right? And in that cooperation since 2021, it was clear that enriched uranium was stocking up to the point of the last report showed that it was about 409 kilograms. Now, if you look at 60%, that can be 90% within 3 weeks to 6 weeks, right? Depending on how good the centrifuges are that Iran has. So that becomes a nuclear threat. Now, personally, I don't like the idea of a nuclear-armed Iran. There are 9 countries.
Oh my God,
I don't like that Israel. By the way, I don't like Israel.
Okay, you sound like a parrot. You're parroting the shit that everyone else says. And you know what pisses me off about that? I'm gonna tell you.
What did I say was wrong, man?
About the motherfucking nuclear threat that Israel is to the world. They have actually threatened America with it. They've threatened the whole fucking world with it, right? How come nobody's talking about that? I can't stand when people are gonna come in here and be justifying a fucking war when the whole thing.
Wait, Mace, but what did I say that was wrong?
I'm gonna give it back to you.
Yeah.
Just wait till he's done. I'm going to say all the stuff that was wrong.
Sorry,
Hold on, but I didn't say anything that was inaccurate. No, but I didn't say anything that was inaccurate.
You did. Oh, you're just so stupid. You're so low IQ.
No, don't insult him. Just attack his arguments
unconditionally. You have no idea how dumb you are.
No, it's not stupid. It's just the parroting. It's
okay. This guy thinks Hitler's a good guy, so it's all right. For coming from him, it means very little.
The National Socialists were good.
I expect more from you because you are a friend of mine. I expect more from you. You go into these spaces.
Why is this guy your friend?
Can I just please finish, Truth? Okay. What I'm saying is that you're going into these spaces and you're parroting. You're saying these things that are just intended to get the American people to support a motherfucking war. With like this whole like, oh, they're gonna enrich it to this. It's like you want to learn these facts to go and feed them to other people so that you can help them sway the opinion of the public to support this is bullshit. Even
Mace, let me.
I just think you should.
Let me answer you real quick.
I
didn't hear that. I didn't hear that from anybody else. I went and looked it up myself. All you have to do is simply go find out, asking neutrally and getting information on how long that actually takes. It's math and science. That's it.
I'm not getting this from other people. I got that on my own.
Can I tell
So now let me add.
Not trying to make a missile.
Okay, one second, guys. Let him finish his point, and then we'll give it to Ryan.
Let me just add one thing. What I was about to say after that is I'm no fan of Israel having nuclear weapons. They attained all that illegally. We all know that they are not transparent about it. They have about 90 is what the general consensus is. I'm not a fan of that. But right now we have to look at what's the immediate threat for Americans. And I don't see why having Iran as the 10th nuclear power of the world, how that makes the world safer. Because especially in the Middle East, where everything's already hot enough, it's bad enough that Israel has them. Why would we be supportive of more nations? Saudi Arabia doesn't have it. Qatar doesn't have it. All these other countries don't have nuclear weapons. Why would we be supportive of Iran, who literally their government says death to America, would have a nuclear weapon?
Jesus
like, that's
Christ.
a problem.
You see what I'm talking about?
Dude, the video's out there, Maze. The video's out there.
Okay, one second. Let him finish. Okay, you finished. Ryan, go. You can respond to him. Ryan Dawson, did you want to respond to him?
Yeah, okay, so we had the JCPOA agreement about uranium enrichment, something that Trump would come in and tear up, where every bit of Iran's enriched uranium would be sent to France, and the French would turn it into fuel rods and then send it back, and they would use those in their reactor. And you can't, break those up. And so that's what that was. Now, they did have a plutonium waste product, but they don't have any kind of reprocessing plant or anything to make a plutonium bomb. And the Russians would come every couple of years when that would get full and take that waste out too. So there's no dirty bomb. Even if they were to enrich uranium to 90%, everyone would see that coming. There's a very specific process you would have to do that. Now, when they went up to 60%, and you need 90 again to even make the type of bomb that was used on Hiroshima, they wouldn't have a delivery system for that. You'd have to fly over top of Israel and drop it out of the belly of a plane. Good luck. They didn't have 90% enriched uranium anyway, but they did, and I think it was foolish that they did this. They went up to 60%, way above the 20% allowed under the deal for medical isotopes, and way above the 3.5% they need for electrical power, and to keep everything going. But that was because the Americans did not uphold their half of the deal. They said, here's the JCPOA, you're going to do this with your uranium, you're going to make this deal with France, they're going to send it back, and you're going to have this deal with Russia. So they did that, and they allowed the International Atomic Energy Agency in, but the IAEA was caught spying for Israel. The IAEA was delivering them information so that Israel could assassinate nuclear scientists, even in their homes, which they did. There was also a Stuxnet attack. The Stuxnet was by the Israelis and the Americans to try and disable these things and create a fission reaction. And the assassination of scientists. And then you had several terrorist attacks, one by Baluchistani terrorists from Jandala and another from MEK. So that was all prior to any of this mess. Trump gets in and he's just like, no deal, and shreds it. But there was still a deal with the Europeans. And so Iran was still upholding their part of the deal, even though the Americans weren't. They would not unfreeze the assets. They would not unfreeze their money. They would not lift the sanctions. And so Iran went up to 60% so they could bargain that off and say, look, we're at 60%, right in the middle between the 90 and the 20, just about. Say, we have some 60% enriched uranium, still no delivery system or anything. They wanted to bargain that off and said, we need sanction relief. You need to uphold this. We've been doing our half for years, since 2015, and you haven't done your side. But they were still obliged to the Europeans. The only reason there's a deal left. Then Trump comes in and says, nah, no deal, nothing, and puts pressure on Europe too. But Iran still complied. Now Trump comes in, he doesn't want to call it the JCPOA deal because that's the Obama deal that he had publicly trashed so much, but it was basically the Obama deal because he brings Steve Witkoff in, and they did have an agreement that Iran would lower their uranium enrichment down to 3.6%. And does it look like a done deal? Okay, 3.6, way away from the 90% threshold. And they knew where it was, and you're going to allow inspectors in. They would even allow Americans in to do the inspections. This is after catching the IAEA spies for Israel. Witkoff comes in, and then he talks to the Israelis. And the Israelis say, no, it has to go to 0. 3.6 isn't low enough. They have to completely dismantle the nuclear program and get rid of their ballistic missiles. So they just keep adding higher and higher bar until there is an unacceptable deal. Iran said, we're not going to 0, we'll do 3.6. Trump says, all right, we're going to negotiate. We're going to have another meeting and see what we can do and add to this because the Israelis aren't happy. He makes a meeting for Sunday, the 15th, with Steve Witkoff, as who doesn't know anything, and they attack on the 13th. And Trump knew that the whole time. He coordinated the attack with the Israelis. He knew they were going to attack Iran, and he lured them into, a state where they weren't expecting this, because like, don't worry, we're having these talks. Things can't break down unless the talks fall apart. Everyone was under the belief that come Sunday, Iran was going to do whatever they asked and make a deal. They don't want a war with the United States. They'd already offered them the best deal, and it was accepted, but it got rejected by the Israelis. And then Trump allows Israel in and does a preemptive attack. Now, there was no nuclear threat, and they know it. They're not enriching uranium to 90%. Even if they did, they don't have a delivery system. They'd still be 2 to 3 years away from being able to use a nuclear bomb.
Ryan, if I can ask you,
that was a pretext, like Iraq. And Iraq's reconstituted nuclear program in yellow cake uranium that didn't exist. The documents on that were so bad, they had a forged signature from an obsolete foreign minister who was dead, supposedly signed these. It's just lies.
Ryan, if I can ask you, you say they don't have a delivery system, but clearly Iran has advanced weaponry. They have hypersonic missiles. It's hard for me to believe that Iran does not have a delivery system for a nuclear weapon. And I have one other question for you. I looked up in the 5th round of negotiations. Yes, I agree with you actually that I feel like Trump made some mistakes in the negotiating where he should have said that he would lift the sanctions if they agreed to go back to 3.67% enriched uranium. I actually agree with you there because I think that was a fair deal. It was the original deal that Obama had that Trump ripped up in like 2018, 2019, somewhere around there. And then I know with Biden's leadership, this all got out of hand where he just didn't try to do anything. And then Iran, then eventually with the sanctions and everything, they felt like they needed to do leverage. I think it was a bad decision, and they enriched to 60%. So we agree on all those facts, right? But that's the thing is, I feel like Iran gambled. If they would have not enriched to 60%, there would be no excuse for America to get involved in all of this. I hope that Trump will lift the sanctions if Iran decides to go back to 3.67. I don't think they should be at 0. They should have a right to nuclear energy for their people. They're obviously an advanced nation, but I'm just saying, it just seems like, I don't know, and I'd love to know a little bit more of your sources, because maybe you want to fill in some gaps. I didn't know about the Israelis said that it has to be 0. If you're willing to share me a DM on that, I'll be happy to read it.
All right, and another thing, you cannot just strap a uranium-made 235 nuclear weapon to a hypersonic missile and shoot it across 2 countries. You'd need ICBMs, which they don't have. You can't. It weighs too much. It's much heavier than a conventional warhead. It doesn't work like that. You'd have to deliver it by aircraft. Plutonium, there are ways, but they didn't even have a reprocessing plant for plutonium. That's not something you can easily hide. They're very prominent signatures that go off if you start doing these things, especially when you have inspectors there, which they did, that you couldn't make a bomb in secret. I think it was a mistake to enrich to 60%, even if they're going to bargain it off. But again, they never at 90%. If they wanted to do that, they could have just done that. They did not have a bomb. They did not have a bomb program, and they did not have a delivery system.
Is it realistic that they could get a delivery system, ICBM, from either North Korea or Russia?
Russia's not going to give. They're against the proliferation of nuclear weapons. North Korea would have to pass that through China, who wouldn't allow it.
Okay, well, I appreciate you answering my questions. And I mean, I'm happy to look into it more. Like I said, I didn't hear that Israel said that it had to be 0. I feel like Trump was being a little...
It's true.
Okay, great.
You can just do a search. That was why the entire negotiation fell apart. It was over and over. That was what Israel pushed for. In fact, go to my pinned post, and you're going to see the statements from Khamenei, everything he said about nukes since 2021. Go look. In 2021, February 22nd, he posted, Iran is not after nuclear weapons, but its nuclear enrichment will not be limited to 20% either. It will enrich uranium to extract, to the extent that is necessary for the country. Iran's enrichment level may reach 60% to meet the country's needs. That was in 2021.
Yeah, but you see how that doesn't work, right, Trillian? If you're serious about having nuclear energy, there's no reason to be over 5%. Why would you push to have over 20%?
If you're serious about committing to a nuclear deal like the JCPOA, then you don't trash it. That's what Trump did. So Trump violated. Anything Iran does after that is their right to do. They don't have to commit to the agreement anymore. It was Trump that trashed it. He used the cost.
I agree with you, Truth, that it was a mistake. I agree with you.
That's not a mistake. No, mistake is, I didn't know what I was doing. He did it because he was told to do it, because he's owned by Israel. Because Israel for the entire period of time when there was an agreement in place between 2015 and 2018, was like Iran continues to sponsor their allies. That's a problem for us because Hezbollah, Ansarullah, they all pose a threat. So he wanted to broaden or move the goalposts. That's why he trashed the agreement. It wasn't because Iran was invalid. If anything, it was the U.S. still in violation because they didn't lift the sanctions like they were supposed to. They didn't unfreeze the $100 billion they've stolen from Iran because they're fucking thieves. So it's the U.S. the whole time, whether under Trump, Biden, Obama, it doesn't matter, didn't honor its agreements. They're the ones that aren't trustworthy. It's the U.S. that's not trustworthy. It's the U.S. that trashes deals. It's the U.S. that's foreign policy that's owned by Israel. That's why they don't honor any of their agreements, because they're told what to do. And you just need to get over the fact that Trump is just an Israeli shill. He's owned by the Jews because he's funded by them. He gets all these donations from the likes of Mary Mandelson or Kushner or Altman. Yeah, he's a Jew bitch, and you follow him. You're no better. You're the one propping him up. And so he's beholden to their interests. And that's why even when he pretended to have a tiff with Netanyahu, that was all fake. They were getting along the whole time. And in fact, coordinating this terrorist attack on Iran. It was Trump that then attacked Iran and illegally attacked the facilities, which you don't condemn because you're a terrorist supporter yourself. You have no problem with that, just as you didn't condemn Trump when he illegally killed Yemeni civilians. So Trump can commit all the murders in the world. You sit there, watch, and laugh and be happy that he's killing little kids in Yemen, which is what happened, and also enabling the genocide in Gaza, which you have no problem with. So he'll commit one foreign policy failure after another. You're still going to prop him up and look at him as your leader in charge because he's my leader. Because you're just, again, a simp is what you are. You're weak, Paul. You're a beta simp. You'll never condemn.
Right. You want me to cheer for the Iranians? I know.
You simp for Israel just like he does, and you're okay with the atrocities they commit. You're like, well, I don't trust Israel, but you have no problem with them killing. I pray for them once in a while, but you don't care that they're still doing it. They've killed 410 people just since Friday the 13th alone, but you don't care, and that's never going to change. And Trump enables that because he arms and funds Israel, which is, by the way, a violation of the Leahy laws within America to arm and fund a genocidal regime. He's also in violation of the Emoluments Clause. He's making money this whole time. All those deals he signed in Qatar, UAE, Saudi that you're cheering for like a little cheerleader that you are, they don't benefit you. They benefit Palantir, who's setting up now data centers across Saudi Arabia and UAE, because you're okay with a surveillance state too. You're going to be put in a concentration camp in FEMA in 2 or 3 years. I trust the plan. I trust Trump. That's who you are, a forever simp. We watch your wife screw around with other guys. You're okay with that too. Trust the plan. That's, again, you're never going to hold accountable for his crimes.
No, I'll just respond with this, mate. I just want to respond.
Rather than holding accountable for being a criminal.
Hold on, guys. Sully's
Can you put a leash on your dog, Suleiman? Can you put a leash on your dog here? Okay, so I'll just respond with this.
Okay, all right. Suleiman was talking. I'm so sorry, but go ahead, Sully. What were you saying?
Yeah.
It was a double mute.
I was.
Double mute. I'm so sorry.
Just a quick response to Suleiman out of respect to his space.
Let Sully talk. Let Sully talk.
Okay, so I'll say the truth. You can this is why I didn't want you to debate because I knew you were going to start penciling yourself.
You're breaking up, Sully.
Dog, so like you saw your life.
Okay. All right.
We couldn't hear him, Maze. I just want to say I'm not going to even waste time going back and forth with you because I don't want to derail your space.
Can other people speak, Paul, please?
Hold on, Carl. I'm coming to you next. Love, just let he's making his concluding statement. Go ahead. And then we're going to
Yeah, that's all I was saying. Just go on with your hands because I'm not going to waste my time even entertaining the ridiculousness I just heard from Truth. Go ahead.
I know, you're never going to hold Trump accountable. We know.
Carl?
Yeah,
I can feel the hate.
Yeah, no, I want them to stop that I can talk because now they go, listen, Mace, I'm very grateful to Paul because I train my cognitive abilities to inhibit my response every time he go on space. Every single time. Every single time, it's the same strategy. Start with respectfully saying that that the given space is very with free speech. He give that people express disagreements and agreements, and then he says that he's on the side of disagreement, and then as some.
Countries, South Sudan, India, Pakistan, and we're worried so much about holding accountability about Iran. I just don't get it. That's what I'm saying. From another country that stole stuff, it stole nuclear goods from us, bro. And people will argue with me that they haven't done anything with it. And we have to not buy into that and stick to the truth. I don't care about like either the of getting into any more like foreign issues with America. But as far as the people that I like on this platform, I don't want you to fall into it because it makes me sick hearing. And it's nothing personal towards anybody, but we are falling for propaganda and they're pushing it in everybody's head. And I just can't let my friends do it. And I'm sorry. And I thank you.
Thank you, Coyote. I appreciate you. Go ahead, Truth Teller, and then we'll go to Ziad, and then we'll go to Miriam.
Sure, thanks. But for those who still haven't figured it out, the main purpose of Trump's presidency is to, optimize his profits and remain beholden to Israel's interests. He's the same guy that rug pulled his own coin, Trump coin. And he's receiving commission off these deals he signed off with in Qatar, in UAE, in Saudi Arabia, in addition to helping out his technocrat friends like Alex Karp, and also the globalists like Larry Fink or the Sam Altmans, etc., who came with him to those Middle East trips and shook hands. I mean, it's quite clear who he's representing. It's not the American people, as he strives towards the surveillance state he wants to create. Those are his objectives. That's what he stated. He's committed $500 billion towards it, by also helping Israel's interests and helping it create the Greater Israel Project. Nothing's changed from that. The main opponent to that is Iran, and it was Trump that orchestrated those Friday the 13th attacks while pretending to want to negotiate. He's a bad faith actor. He can't be trusted. He's the same guy that trashed the 2015 agreement. He did so in 2018. And I mentioned the Emoluments Clause violation as well. I don't know why more people don't take issue with that. Why is it okay for a president to constantly want to profit off of his position in the presidency, in addition to keeping his son-in-law around, Abraham Accords boy, who owns illegal settlements in the West Bank himself, in addition to both him and Trump being partners and affinity partners. Go look up that fund, which owns Phoenix Partners, which funds Elbit Systems, one of the biggest arms production companies in Israel. So Trump directly himself is involved, has a vested interest in Israel's, obviously not just surviving, but thriving, but also carrying out terrorism and genocide in occupied Palestine. And if you look up Affinity Partners, they own a bunch. They own a piece of a bunch of different companies, including Rafael Systems, which is the air defense systems company in Israel. They also, in addition to the arms production, as well, and another construction company as well that's building illegal settlements in the West Bank. Like, how much more do you need on this guy to know that his hands are dirty? So it's easy to keep it academic and prove that Trump is a criminal who's also profiting off of genocide, while he also is arming and enabling it through the foreign aid packages he never suspended. He also failed to come to create any type of peace between Russia and Ukraine. He never solved that conflict, and then he wants to make a big deal about India-Pakistan, which was never an issue before, other than some, brief entanglements here and there that came and went. And then now there's a new war that looks like will resume hostilities very soon. So what's he solved in essence? Nothing. They attempted to do regime change in Iran, failed. They attempted to dismantle the nuclear facilities. He's going to claim they struck 3 out of 12 facilities. They didn't. It was surface-based damage. So another fail. Iran's probably stronger because of all this, and they're looking pretty good in the international community. That's not simping for Iran. That's just telling it for what it is. They were able to strike the U.S. successfully. Yeah, it was orchestrated, etc. Trump didn't respond. Now it's done. So where does that leave Iran? They have every right to now build a bomb because they can't trust the IAEA, which serves as a surveillance arm for Israel, provided highly classified sensitive information on at least 5 of the scientists that got assassinated. In addition to the fact that nobody wants to call out Israel for having the Samson option, and they've even listed the cities that they will strike in America if they don't give them the arms they want, including LA, New York, DC, and in Colorado. How much more evidence do you need to believe that Israel is a rogue state? And they've used nukes before. They used a tactical nuke against Yemen on October of 2015. I covered it. I wrote a detailed thread about it. It was absolutely a neutron bomb. They've also used depleted uranium. They've used a variety of chemical weapons as well, including phosphorus bombs on the civilian population, which again is a violation of the Chemical Weapons Treaty Israel supposedly is a signatory to. How many more laws do they have to break for people to realize, including the 962 ceasefire violations they already have? 962 times they violated a ceasefire. They violate every ceasefire thousands of times, just like the one in Lebanon, to know they're not worth standing by, but they have to, because it's Israel and the Jews that control America and its politicians through AIPAC and the various Jewish lobbies. They control finance, the media, and of course, the politicians. I can raise all the evidence and repeat myself as I have numerous times. Some people are still going to believe that Trump is his own man and has agency to make decisions. He answers to the guys in the dark suits that you don't hear about, who operate in the shadows. And that's how it's always been for every president, just as Putin put it. And they're going to carry on and probably resume hostilities and continue to help Israel and provide it with the interceptor missiles and whatever else it needs, irrespective of which crimes it commits, while it still continues to commit a genocide in Palestine. And then they've still been resuming hostilities in Lebanon too. So how many laws need to be broken? I'm just curious until you can acknowledge the fact that Trump's foreign policy is a dismal disaster, a failure, and doesn't look as there's any path towards peace. He certainly is not entitled to any type of Nobel Peace Prize, which he desperately wants, just to be able to add to a failed legacy of multiple bankruptcies and a personal bankruptcy that was only avoided because the Rothschild Bank came and bailed him out through Wilbur Ross back in 1989 because he makes bad deals all the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Truth Teller. Ziad, welcome. Jump in. Ziad, are you there? All right. Oh.
Yeah. Hey, Maze. Amazing Maze.
Hi.
Thank you for the mic, the time, and the respect. Want to just touch on a couple of things. All my friend, in my opinion, I think President Trump has no choices. The only choice I think that he has was to run for office or not, and maybe just maybe that also he was forced to do, depending on what list he's on or whatever. But piece of advice, don't glorify the man, glorify the country. The country remains, and the men come and go, in my opinion. But I have a question for Ryan. Before I ask the question, Ryan, I have I have a lot of respect for you, and I call you the unsung hero. There's a lot of heroes here. All of you guys are heroes. Heroes for Palestine, Iran, humanity, in totality. But my question to you, Ryan, is we know that Iran is an advanced country when it comes to medicine. Now, when we talk about nuclear and enrichment of nuclear, some in the medical field, some level of enrichment of uranium might require up to 90%. So if you have information on this and you can share with us, I would appreciate it. And if so, then why Iran shouldn't be allowed to enrich up to that point without, and they said it, we don't want nuclear weapons. We don't need nuclear weapons. So can you elaborate on that, please? Thank you.
Most things you can do, like medical isotopes, you can do with 20% enriched uranium. There are some other things you can do with 60. Anything north of that, really, there's no point in, as far as I know, other than making a bomb. Even if there was, it would have dual use. And they're very nervous about Iran having uranium-235 enriched to a level that they can make nuclear weapons with. And that's everybody. Nobody wants more countries to have nuclear weapons. Like, the more they proliferate, the higher the odds are that somebody is going to use one. And Iran doesn't want one either. Like, religiously, they are against having the weapon of mass destruction that was from their own edict. So they don't want one. They don't have the ability to make one in secret. If you start spending your centrifuges just to build the enrichment, everyone's going to notice. Everyone's watching them. They know exactly where they are, and they had inspectors in. So, like, why wouldn't they be allowed to use this if it's for medicine or something? Like, look, you can send your uranium off to France like they did for their rods. You can send that off to Russia or something, turn it to what you need, and then bring the medicine back. But they're not going to let you do it in Iran because there's the potential that you could also use that same material secretly for nuclear weapons. And that is the same deal they do. There's breakout capacity in Brazil, Japan, many states that could build a nuclear bomb in weeks if they wanted. Trust me, Japan doesn't want one. They already got nuked. They are militantly opposed to having and much less using nuclear weapons. But obviously the specialty of Iran is Israel. Israel doesn't want Iran to have any weapons, much less a nuclear deterrent. They enjoy having the only nuclear weapons in the Middle East. Other people will get invaded for WMDs of any type, whether they have them or not. And the U.S. has been following a script, as you know, knocking out all of Israel's potential rivals. And the end result is going to be the complete decimation of Palestine. And we have to focus on Palestine as, like, there's a lot of global sympathy of what's going on there. I mean, Israel's straight up just mowing down babies. Shooting medics, a lot of it on film. They've gotten so arrogant about it. They posted on TikTok, they posted on the Israeli Telegram groups. If you've never been in one of those, you should see it just once to see how disgusting it gets. They relish it and love it. It's not just a Netanyahu problem. It's an Israeli society problem. So it was like 90% of them really believe in this, like, biblical nonsense of they just God-ordained right to murder people. And that's not going away. Regardless of the ceasefire with Iran or not, they're still murdering Palestinians. They even attacked Lebanon, but that just sort of went under the rug. They preemptively attacked Lebanon a couple days ago again. And of course, the only nation not condemning their action was Syria, because it's now run by Al Qaeda. Hooray! But that's the reason Iran can't go to 90%. It's because it has dual use, and nobody wants them to have the bomb, not even their allies. And they don't want it either, as I was just saying. I don't think they're, like, faking their religiosity. I think it is an Islamic republic. That's why they have the 5 pillars of Islam made out of swords on the flag. Like, that's pretty serious to them. That's why I believe them.
Thank you, Ron. Can you check your DM, please?
Also, just really quickly, there was a, sorry, I just closed it on accident. I just thought it was interesting that a BBC correspondent from Israel denies the ceasefire violation claim, saying that we are here and we didn't hear any siren sound. And so had it hit or whatever, I'm pretty sure that sirens would have sounded. So that's pretty interesting. That was approximately...
On what time are you talking? Because I heard sirens
56 minutes.
In the time, in Palestine time, it was like 8 o'clock or 6 and a half. I don't remember. It woke me up.
It was about 56 minutes ago that they posted this. So
I didn't hear anything since the morning. Nothing. In the last 6 hours, nothing.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. So they're claiming that the ceasefire breach happened approximately 2 hours ago. So thank you for that, Carl. I appreciate you, and thanks, Ryan. Go ahead, Truth.
Okay, so a very quick point, because this gets brought up a lot by the MAGA-tards, and that's that when Iran says death to U.S. or Israel, they're not talking about the Israeli people and the American people. Americans can actually travel to Iran with a visa, and they do. There's TikTok influencers there. You can go on TikTok, you can see their videos. They're treated well. They have a good time. They go do all the sightseeing. Nobody bothers them. No one cares. It's not about wanting to kill Americans. It's about the target is the American regime that targets them, that issues the sanctions on them, that stole their money, and that warmongers in the Middle East, as they've done with so many countries from Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Libya, Lebanon, Yemen, all these countries devastated, destroyed either directly by America or through proxies that Israel, America, and NATO support. That's where that anger or furor is directed to. And of course, Israel. It's America and Israel working together to get this done. So that's what they mean when they say death to America. It's not about killing Americans. Americans can travel to Iran freely. They do so all the time. Maybe some individuals actually get a passport and travel a little bit. They could figure some of these things out rather than just believe fiery rhetoric. Thank you.
Truth. Max Blumenthal is both American and a Jew. He just was in Iran like 1 month ago.
Yeah, even that
you even can see him.
dimwit propaganda and co was in Iran as well. And he said he was treated well and he had a good time there. So, but again, people don't take the time to actually understand what statements actually mean. They just judge it on, at face value rather than do the research. So I just want to add that context. That's it.
Thank you, Truth. I appreciate you. Let's go to Miriam, then we'll go to Paul, and then we'll circle back to Coyote. And actually, before I come to you, Miriam, I just wanted to read this post by Chase Geyser. I think it's actually a really good way of putting it. He put, Israel is allegedly attempting to frame Iran for violating the ceasefire agreement. Iran has denied launching any attacks since the ceasefire began. The claim that Iran has violated the ceasefire by firing a single missile is being met with massive backlash. And Israel is now saying that it will make Tehran tremble in response. I thought that was a really good way of recapping it.
You did put it well. By the way, real quick point on the medical isotopes that Iran was making from its peaceful nuclear energy program. People are like, why do they need nuclear energy? They have oil. They have natural gas. Medical isotopes actually serve the purpose of those with cancer. Why do over 1 million people in Iran have cancer? Well, some of them are still suffering from when chemical weapons were used against them during that during that war when Iraq invaded. Who provided the chemical weapons? The sarin, nerve gas, etc. America. So, and you want to stop them from producing, even though with over 5,000 sanctions, they had to develop their own big pharma industry, and now they're actually developing something that could help their cancer patients. That's what it's for. So medical isotopes serve a legitimate purpose. It's their right to be able to produce it.
Maze, you surprised me. I swear in God, in the last 6 hours, nothing. No siren, no nothing anywhere in Palestine. Nothing. I swear in God. You surprised me. I didn't know about it even.
Yeah, they're claiming that there was a breach of ceasefire, but it was like one. I just posted about it, Carl. I can send it.
It is a lie. It is a lie because my phone, whether I like it or not, will alert me, even though I don't want it. Okay? So nothing. Absolutely nothing anywhere in the last 6 hours since the morning.
That's why these spaces are great, because we get to hear that from boots on the ground over there. Thank you, Carl. I appreciate you. Miriam, thanks for being patient. Go ahead, jump in.
Thanks, Maeve. Okay. Allow me to express my observation, maybe in the form of statement or questions, but there are two things that I'm trying to understand from this. Of course, with the what do we really get from this? You know, from this recent development, the war between the U.S. and Iran, when it comes to the nuclear, nuclear power that they have, arsenal, and whether Trump is really trying to make the world safer. I'm questioning his style because I look into for what he did during his first term, which is the withdrawal of the JCPOA. And from my reading, I noticed that he immediately withdrew rather than renegotiating when he was criticizing the deal between Iran and the US. And I do wonder why he is always resorting to aggressiveness rather than negotiation. So I find it odd to be hearing this after the exchange between the US and Iran, that he can just propose a ceasefire, as if at the end of this, we would be able to live in a peaceful world, because what was proposed to be the issue that I understand is about the nuclear capability of Iran. However, even if you destroy it now, is there a guarantee that they cannot start building it up again? What kind of guarantee is Trump giving to the world? I have a lot of questions on what is he after, and how do we get to that objective, and what is that objective? It's not clear to me.
Brian, you want to take that?
He cannot guarantee that they won't just restart a program. Now they have even more incentive to get a bomb, because they're getting invaded when they don't have a bomb. When Libya got rid of its nuclear weapons program, they got invaded. When Gaddafi capitulated and said, okay, we will not pursue nuclear weapons. And then they were hit with Al-Qaeda on the ground, and the French and the Americans and others in the air. And people saw this. And that's why John Bolton would say things like, we want the Libyan model, which is regime change, and we're going to do it before you get a WMD. So there isn't a guarantee other than what Iran says. They don't want the bomb, and if they were to start to make one, it's very noticeable. It's a very complex process that is visible. If they were to kick out all the inspectors and say, then everyone would know what you were doing. There's no other reason to. That's what Israel does. So his deterrent, I say, well, you see what happened last time you tried to build one. This is his narrative, not mine. We went in and bombed you. We bombed your bases. We'll do it again. And there's no lifting of sanctions and so on. They shouldn't have gone to 60%, even if they were bargaining that off. Trump should not have torn up the deal. And Trump should have made the deal sincerely that he had when Witkoff went over there, which Iran had agreed to go down to 3.6%. And even when they're at 60, or they're getting 5 grams an hour or something like that, they did not have the ability to just suddenly have a nuclear bomb and a delivery system. They are just banking on the fact that they know the public doesn't know the difference between 3.6%, 20%, 60, and 90, and what all comes with those, and the reason people use uranium for other means, peaceful means. They just scare them, say they have a nuclear program with enriched uranium, and they think the only thing you can do with uranium is build a bomb, and it's not true. Because there are many other products. They don't know the nuance of it. They didn't even make their own fuel rods. They would send enriched uranium to France, and France is not some pro-Iranian regime or anything, and they would make it into rods and send them back, and those would be used in their reactors. Another reason for nuclear power is it frees up the oil and gas that they consume on electricity to be sold on the open market, which allows them surplus so that they don't get caught in perpetual debt cycles and loans from IMF and World Bank, like a lot of African states, are stuck in that right now. It gives them, it's quite profitable for them to do so. And it is against America's own interests to have sanctions on Iran. They should be buying gas and oil and cooperating with them, and as they should have with Iraq and many of these other states that they decided to destroy for Israeli regional ambitions. But to answer your question, he can't have a guarantee that they're not building a bomb or they won't in the future. And in fact, they have every incentive and motive now to get one, more than they did before they were bombed.
Did you want to respond, Miriam?
Actually, I was expecting that answer that there's no guarantee, but still I lament with the fact that, with this show, we consider the show at the end, for what I have observed, that there are people who died from this.
I've got to say, this has been very educational. I hope everyone in the audience has been finding it the same. It's been great to listen to you guys and all your knowledge, Truth and Ryan, and everyone else on the panel. Yeah, it's so educational, and I think from the viewer's perspective, like for me, seeing how everything has transpired, and yourself, Paul, listening to all this, I think that anyone who's intellectually honest and moral can see that the only conclusion here is that Iran should have nukes, in my opinion, because America and Israel fucked them over so many times. They tried to do a deal and got reneged on. Instead of doing a deal, you told them to be vassals. You told them to be poor. So would you choose a life like that if that was your country? I wouldn't. And Israel is an aggressive regime, and they want to replace the regime with that Reza Pahlavi guy, and they won't stop. They won't stop until the regime has been changed, and Iran is just another vassal. And they won't even let them have, anything. The 0% is a crazy thing to enforce.
Adam, let's be honest. They want the Libya model. They want to render them disarmed, no nuclear system, no nuclear program. So this way they're vulnerable, and they can turn them into a vassal state. That's what the objective is. They don't want an autonomous country with its own program that's financially autonomous, no Rothschild bank. They instead want to subject it to sanctions to render them unable to even do business with the international community. I mean, it's part of the reason why they joined BRICS in the first place. But all these points just get overlooked. Well, why? Why is Iran being an aggressor? They're not an aggressor. When did they invade anybody? If you're going to condemn anyone for invasions, start with America, start with Israel. Israel invades or has bombed all of its neighbors. They're a rogue state. They've used a nuclear bomb. They pose a threat to the stability of the region, not Iran. Iran's tried to mediate peace, if anything, and neutralized rogue nations like Saudi Arabia and UAE as well, right? Which they did in Yemen. They're the ones that carried out the massacre there, again with Israel's help and America's help. So
yeah, they
where's
fought
the
ISIS,
condemnation
right?
then?
Which was an American creation.
Yeah, they fought ISIS, and what did Trump do? Trump killed the #1 ISIS killer. There was Soleimani, and he almost started a war with Iran back then. And he did that again for Israel. It was Netanyahu that wanted General Soleimani dead, right? Everyone forgets that, along with Abu Mahdi, who was the top guy in Iraq. Trump assassinated both of them, who were killing ISIS. ISIS are supposed to be, the evil ISIS that kill other Muslims and cause mass devastation and destruction. And what did Trump do? He normalized relations with, of course, al-Julani, who is ex-ISIS, Al-Qaeda. Then he rebranded to HTS, like anyone believes that. He's still a head shopper, a mass murderer, a thug, suicide bomber, etc. And they're doing suicide bombings again. They did one in a church 2 days ago in Damascus. That's the guy Trump shook hands with, called him handsome, and said he has a bright future, al-Julani. So Trump's palling around with terrorists, but the MAGA-tards will never call that out. Oh, but that's okay, that's something. You make peace with your enemies. That's how they rationalize that. What do you mean peace? Man, he's still a mass murderer and a thug. Yes, he's still committing atrocities now. After he shook hands with him, he's still committing crimes. Where's Ivanka Trump? Why isn't she tearing up to see dead Christians in Syria? Why isn't Julani being taken out? Why is America still in Syria in the first place? Because Trump said they're there to steal the oil. So it's okay to be an oil thief in Syria. That's okay too. to steal someone else's oil and wheat, which is what America is still doing right now to this day, while Israel's stolen more land and Turkey still occupies 3 cities. So it's okay to balkanize Syria, another crime. Complete silence, on this foreign policy that's done nothing but cause instability in the Middle East, not because of Iran, but because of America, NATO, and Operation Timber Sycamore, which was what? The CIA arming, funding, enabling ISIS in the first place. They released Giuliani in 2011 for the sole purpose of destroying Syria, which everybody wants to just forget. And that Trump enabled this, allowed this as well while he was in power. He did nothing to stop it, just like he did nothing to stop anything in Yemen. He also armed and enabled Ukraine, which led to the conflict that's still ongoing between Russia and Ukraine. So Trump is absolutely, his foreign policy has always been a dismal failure, even in his first administration. So people just need to wake up and realize they're being duped by a con man. He's always been a con man whose mentor was Roy Cohn. Look up who Roy Cohn was and how he lost his law license because of all the crimes and corruption he was involved in. That's who Trump learned from, just like his father, who was another con job. So, but some people are just put their head in the sand, ignore reality, ignore the facts, and just want to, suck on the copium and believe that there's better times ahead with Trump at the helm, and there's this 5D chess or project, this non-existent projects that's gonna fix America's problems. He's not gonna get rid of the Federal Reserve and the Jewish lobbies or stop any of the wars. He starts wars. I'll pause.
You can see the Roy Cohen connection with David Sheen and the John Alessio cult that killed Robert Kennedy, because he was around back then. Roy Cohen was Lindsey Graham before Lindsey Graham, only with a brain.
See, that's just it, right? And people are looking at Trump's history and realize how dirty his family's been for decades. They think he's some saint. They come, they believe his rhetoric and all the stuff he says, even though he contradicts himself all the time, speaks out of both sides of his mouth, and just lies to people. Lies about the ceasefire agreement. And people he keeps lying. He hasn't even changed his behavior, and yet people don't want to call him out.
Yeah, but look at all the deportations. This is a different Trump than 2016. It's gotten worse because he had to make a lot of deals to stay out of jail when they were impeaching him and going after his business, going after his kids. Someone even took a shot at him. He had to take a lot of deals with nefarious people. So you didn't even need him on the island or whatever it's mentioned earlier. And I say this too. They didn't just have girls on the island. It was all of their properties, all of Wexner's properties, all of Schotenstein's properties, and all of Burnell's properties. They were doing this. Maxwell too. That's where Prince Andrew was, in her house in London. He's nowhere near the island. Yeah. Don't worry about Little St. Jeffreys. It was Palm Beach. It was New Mexico. It was New York City. It was several spots in Ohio, and it was in Paris. So they had plenty of brothels on the Epstein thing. I don't want to derail this into the Epstein conversation, but that is kind of my bread and butter. And that is blackmail, and Charles Kushner's involved in that too. I would encourage all of you to go to my website and watch Trump's Zionist Ball and Chain, because Cohen's in that too, and learn about the Kushner clan and Trump and how bad things were. Witkoff's in that as well. But it only gets worse when they get more leverage on him, and they have far more leverage on him now than on his first presidency. But him, he wants a peace prize because Obama got a peace prize, and so he's got to do whatever he did. He can't stand him, and he'll probably get one. But it's like you're calming down a situation you created in the first place. You guys preemptively hit Iran. You coordinated that together, and then America did it a second time, where preemptively hit Iran, and then you make peace. But there was already peace before you attacked them. So you're just solving a problem that you started and you made. That shouldn't be grounds for a peace prize. But given some of the other recipients of peace prizes, like Obama, who started a war in Libya and in Syria and tripled the size of the war in Afghanistan and all that, and he got one. Henry Kissinger got one. He's Seymour Butcher. And
Menachem Begin got one.
Yeah, Menachem Begin got a peace prize. Holy crap. Terrorist. Straight up terrorist from the Stern and Ergun gang, who also helped finance Jewish organized crime in the United States, who were deeply involved in Israel stealing uranium out of Palo, Pennsylvania, through Shapiro and that clique. And I have a film on that too. But if you go to my website, Trump's Zionist Ball and Chain, it's free. That's one. The other one is NUMEC, which stands for the Nuclear Material and Equipment Corporation. and that is also free. It's on Rumble, and that tells you the incentive of why they had to kill JFK. And then I'm working on that film of like how they killed AFK after I finish the 9/11 film, which should be out in probably
Ryan,
October.
How much do you know about Dr. Abdul Khan? He's the Pakistani guy that stole the blueprints on how to build it. He built the nuke for Pakistan, essentially, with help, of course.
Yeah,
He was the one that also sold the blueprint to
North
Libya
Korea
and Iran and North Korea.
Well, they call him AQ Khan.
So Ron's,
You're talking about AQ Khan? Yeah. Yes. Go ahead. Sorry.
yes. No, I was just gonna say yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, and what irks me is I used to have videos detailing all this as it was happening, and they just erased 15 years worth of my stuff. So I was got not only kicked off YouTube, then I was kicked off of Vimeo. That used to be a thing. And it's just I keep getting banned on things. And a lot of my old thing, I used to be able to go, oh, you want to know about AQCon? Go see this. I did a lot of work. They've removed it all. So it sucks. These are all things I'm gonna have to do over again. But at least now with Rumble and Odyssey and BitChute and X, there are more permanent places to put things without an SSD drives, which didn't exist when I was younger. Like, you couldn't even store all these things in one place. Now you can. But yeah, AQ Khan was instrumental in Pakistan getting the bomb and North Korea getting the bomb and heavy water but Rumsfeld and Searle and a lot of U.S. goobers that ended up in the head of our Defense Department were very much part of that network. But it's like these stories, I almost quit even doing them because I'm like, and do what with it and put it where? Because when you're like hardcore censored, it's like, it's not worth all the effort and time. No one's even going to see or read it. But now with Substack and things, maybe I'll redo some of these, but I don't have the energy to explain the AQCon off the top of my head right now.
Guys, quick update.
The reason why.
Quick update.
The reason why I bring up.
So Trump is being asked about what transpired overnight here. Trump asked about truce breaking. He says, I don't think so. Trump says he didn't like that Israel unloaded right after they agreed to a ceasefire. Trump says both Israel and Iran violated the ceasefire. Trump says Iran will never rebuild its nuclear program. Iran's nuclear capacities are gone. I'm not sure where this is coming from, but this
he also said he's not happy with Israel and not happy with Iran, but he's really unhappy with Israel.
Real shit, but he's not going to do anything about it. He's still going to give them arms and funds.
He's like, guys, wait till I get my peace prize, then do it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not a joke. Like, Trump is a total narcissistic egomaniac, and that is a real reason for him.
Yep, he's always had this weird competition with Obama. It's very unhealthy and childish. But that aside, I bring up AQ Khan, and here's why, Ryan. It's because Ron's had the blueprint on how to build a nuke since in around 87 to 89. That's what they got it before North Korea did. North Korea got their blueprint around the 1990s, and then they kicked out all the inspectors in early 2000s and focused on getting a bomb, which they were able to achieve in and around 2006. Now, Iran could have done the exact same thing. So they've had access to the blueprint since in and around 87 to 2003, where they then desisted from making a bomb. But they're very familiar with the nuclear energy process and the nuclear fuel cycle. And I believe they were on the path towards making a bomb until they issued the fatwa to then, stray off that path. So for you to think that they couldn't get up to 90 and figure out the final procedures for the precision parts of it, or even the fuel rod part, which they're not doing themselves, I believe they know the entire process themselves, and they could absolutely produce a bomb in far less than 2 to 3 years, anytime they want, essentially, if they don't already have it, and I think they do.
Well, they certainly have the know-how. I was building the bomb and a delivery system together for that timeline, but yeah, they have the know-how, and they've known at least as early as the North Koreans. I have my suspicions that North Korea not only got the AQCON support, but covert assistance from China. And the Chinese are walking a tightrope there where they don't want North Korea to fail, because it'd be a huge refugee crisis into China, but they don't want them to be too successful either, because it's a rabid dog on a leash.
All right, guys. Oh, did you have something you wanted to say really quickly?
It's just the last point that North Korea's already offered to provide, whether it's true or not, who knows, Iran with whatever it needs, including consideration for even giving them nuclear weapons with likely delivery systems. So I know you're saying it has to go through China, but don't put it past North Korea to figure it out on how to get it there.
I'll just hand over to a speaker next. I think I'll hand over to Manad, but before that, I just want to make a comparison to North Korea. Now you mentioned it, you reminded me. North Korea has nukes, and they don't bomb South Korea. So why would Iran have nukes and bomb America? Why would they commit suicide? I genuinely think, not to in a malicious way to you.
Adam, it's because guys like Paul believe when Iran says death to America, that means they want to nuke America.
North Koreans say death to America. Like, they don't say that actual chant, but they say similar things.
Yeah, but they don't know
Everybody
what it actually
hates
means.
America.
But nobody cares, you know, and they have nukes. And so I honestly think it's a very racist or bigoted or supremacist viewpoint to think that they're so dumb and so suicidal that as soon as they get nukes, they're going to bomb you and start a World War III. That's such a backwards position to hold, in my opinion. I can't understand it. I really just can't understand it. I'll be honest about that.
I'd be happy to explain, Adam, at least some of that reason.
That North Korea got nukes either. They just did it anyway.
Yeah, but they're chilling. They're not nuking South Korea. They're not invading South Korea. I mean, it's tense between them.
Why are they chilling though, Adam?
What's that?
Why are they chilling?
Killing what? South Koreans? Is there a war between South Korea
Why
and North
is
Korea right now?
Why is North Korea chill with his nuclear weapons? Did Trump go there in 2016 or no?
They're
He didn't achieve anything there. He wanted to denuclearize them, and he didn't do it. He failed.
We haven't had hostilities with North Korea since Donald Trump went there, which Barack Obama said
there were never any.
Yeah,
there were never any hostilities with North Korea in the first place. So once again, see what Ryan described to you earlier is called the Hegelian dialectic. So Trump's the one who creates the problems out of thin air. There's no problems to begin with, and then that causes the emotional reaction, the need for some kind of solution. People like you fought for it. And then of course they have a solution prepared. Hey, look, I'll make peace. Or hey, look, I have a vaccine bioweapon that's going to solve this virus that we created in the first place. People like you fought for this stuff. You don't realize it's all part of the gaslighting strategy to fool you into thinking they're problem solvers when in fact they cause the problems, create the problems out of thin air that didn't exist before. North Korea is just minding its own business. They trade with China, with their partners, and they don't want issues or wars. They just want to go about their communist ways and their people, whatever. Some are happy, some are unhappy. That's their problem, their business. But they aren't threatening anyone. And there were no hostilities in North Korea to begin with. Trump wanted to nuclearize them. He failed in the first place. He didn't solve anything there because there was no problem to solve. I don't know who's next.
It's me.
Yeah, we can go to Minaj. She's been waiting for a long time.
I just want to say something. I'm very surprised. Every American knows how many percentage we have progress in our nuclear program, but they don't know how many sanctions we have. They don't know the pistachio.
It's over 5,000.
And that's why I'm saying pistachio and saffron is sanctioned, is the most important import we have and export we have, and they sanction it because that Jew lobby. They sanction us because that Jew person in California can produce there and sell it and kill the market for us. They don't know that, but that's why I'm saying they're well informed. The well informed women doesn't have right in Iran, but in Palestine, like how many years? 76 years. They're killing children and women, but they are not informed, and they blame their government. No. You don't study. You don't. You just listen to propaganda. You're dumb. That's why we have problem. This is not political system problem. That's so. I'm so sorry. Low IQ people create this problem. They should understand what their country doing to other people. When that killing machine gonna finish? Why every country in the world has problem and America doesn't? Why they don't question the narrative? Trump said in daylight, no, it's night. They accept it. This is low IQ, and I think American has to start with themselves, not with others. They advocate democracy for us. Maybe we don't want it. We don't want to pay by blood to get the American democracy to separate our country to civil war or something. We don't want American. And something American has to understand, we don't want to live like you. We don't want it. The culture you have, we don't want that culture. We have our own culture. Why do you think you are better than others to just tell them how to live? That's why I wanted to know. Next time, if somebody comes for 60%, ask them how many sanctions they have. They know even 3 weeks take time we make a bomb, but they don't know how many people suffer over this sanction in Iran. Thank you.
Wow, golden points. Those were actually excellent points. All right, Paul, go ahead.
Unfortunately, I have to pass to the next speaker because I have to do a test, and then I'll be happy to take my turn because I've been waiting.
Okay, go ahead, Coyote.
Appreciate it. And just know down the line, not everybody wants to be all up in anybody's business. Like, I wish we just focus on fixing them, like us first, and stay the hell out. Trust me. I do gotta say, as far as all the speakers tonight, it actually it's relieving. You know, sure, some people are more passionate than others, but nobody's trying to convince me of anything. And I can't say that for a lot of the other places I go. It's like an argument to try to, Paul's came up here, expressed his stuff, and I'm sure there's a little back and forth, but it's like there's no narrative. And I know that's going to change today, and I hate it. It's like nobody's got the list because I'm still weirded out by how the big Mac accounts. And these are my some of these people I know, man. They're decent people, but it's like they haven't posted anything about this. But I did want to say, I think that things are changing. I was in Sally's space earlier. I didn't know if I put it up in the nest, but I did a poll the other day, and I titled it, or I put in it. So, which country do you think poses a bigger threat to America? Israel, Iran? It was like 57%. All right, as far as nuclear, which country poses a larger threat to America, a nuclear threat to America? Israel, Iran. Well, it was 57%, if I'm not mistaken, something like that. Like Israel, and the rest Iran. And I don't know if that's a confusing question or whatever. Like I said, it's in the bill, but I've honestly noticed that in spaces as well. People have started to see some of the stuff that they've been calling me anti-Semite and stuff like that for saying. And like, I don't know, it's just a positive note right there. I think people are starting to understand things more. Plus that Tucker Carlson, Ted Cruz thing kind of did it up for the boomers.
Indeed. Thank you, Coyote.
Do you notice how they call you an anti-Semite if you criticize Israel, but not if you criticize Iran? Are you an Islamophobe? It's interesting. Sorry. Go on, mate.
I learned that. I studied the Hasbro and stuff like that to get around it. I really don't get messed with it, and I suggest that people do read into that stuff, because I'm telling you, I'll counter the counter. Like, anti-Gentile,
If you criticize China, you're not xenophobic. If you criticize Saudi Arabia or Iran or any Levantine country or Palestine, you call them all terrorists or desert guys, whatever the fuck you want to call them. It's not Islamophobic. If you criticize Russia, you're not Russiaphobic. But if you criticize the colony that's committing the most crime, that's committing a genocide, that's invaded 3 countries and bombed 5 in the past 19 months, then all of a sudden you're anti-Semitic and a hater of Jews. It's interesting how that rule only applies one time.
I was gonna say, Adam, it's like, if anybody that looked into this stuff and watched General, Wesley Clark, and we knew this was coming. That's the crazy thing about it. Like, surprise, we're this is number 7, and all of this is crazy to me, because it's like 1 out of every 9 Chinese are CCP. The rest are slaves, basically. But whenever I go to talk about, like, China, we say China, we say Ukraine. But when I say Israel, not all Israel, but, and give this big preamble. Hey, I'm fixing to say, Jew, but when I say it, it's not all Jews. It's just the bad. it's killing me, man. But I think it's starting to change up a little bit, because I think some people are starting to see that maybe this is not our number 1 ally. Maybe that the only intelligence that we've ever, or the only military assistance we got was in Iraq, and nothing came of that as far as the weapons of mass destruction. And then here we go again to Iran, which I still have yet to see if they had any of these nuclear things. I find it fascinating that Tulsi Gabbard in March, just in March, pretty much cleared it. And I understand that people are going to go on the word of Trump, and I'm with it. I'm not going to, I understand, man, but we got to get real when we can't pick and choose what we like. You got the head of intelligence coming out this past March saying, hey, everything is okay. And then the next thing you know, boom, this happens. And then, it just doesn't make sense.
I have a question about that really quickly. Was that recorded? Because, so wasn't she, did she actually change what she said? Because that's important.
Yes.
Or was it recorded?
I'll send it to you.
Okay, so.
I think she said people took her words out of context, but they didn't.
And it's.
Hold on, guys.
And that's the
Ryan
thing.
respond really quickly, and then.
About Tulsi, she did say that back in March, and then recently she's like, oh, people are taking what I said out of context. Da, da, da. Like, well, what context could you possibly be other than no? It's like a yes-no thing. Back to the North Korea thing, the Moon Jae-in deserves credit for his sunshine policy and getting Trump and Kim Jong-un to meet and everything. And then, of course, we know Bolton sabotaged that whole thing in Hanoi. But at least Trump, I'll say this, at least he was willing to talk to them. Whereas Biden, Obama, the rest of them, they just have a we don't even speak to them policy. That's not going to get anywhere. So at least he was willing to say. But when you bring a bunch of Christian Zionists and Jewish supremacists who are all around you with you, you can't get anything done. And so, yeah, that thing got sabotaged. But for Trump, it was like, it's a photo op. I'll be the first guy to go and step on North Korean soil and the last. And it didn't really matter if nothing got done because he got his ego stroked.
That's the thing I try to say. It's the ideology. It's the Zionism. People got to stop worrying about being labeled like a name or whatever. Yeah. I don't know what it is, the labels. Yeah. It's the Zionism, bro.
Well, there's only one Jewish state, and it's a bad one. So there's no, counter argument of, well, this other state's Jewish, and it's not like that. Imagine if we have so many Muslim majority states from Indonesia to Egypt or whatever, but imagine if it was just Syria, how bad it would look. That's kind of how the Jewish state is. And it's funny, I've never heard anyone feel the need to be like, well, not all Buddhists are bad. How sick does your society have to be when the assumption is you're disgusting and people have to constantly, have a disclaimer, well, I know, and start listing, the token good Jew he knows or whatever, about Norman Finkelstein and whatever. It's pretty bad. And they have a sick society in Israel. It is the majority of their population does support ethnic cleansing of Palestine. And there are groups that are against it too, in the Orthodox community and da-da-da. I know that. And I have a nuanced view on this. But it is disgusting that a majority of a country could support genocide in another country in the modern era. I mean, they have this old Bronze Age morality of murdering Amalek and stuff, and that is just the way they're built.
Guys, just really quickly, so Donald Trump just posted, and he says, Israel, do not drop those bombs. If you do, it is a major violation. Bring your pilots home now. Donald Trump, President of the United States. Is this real? Hold on.
This is what I said way back.
Diplomacy on X. Who does that?
He really cares about MAGA turning against him. Nobody has more influence over him than his own base. And we can use his narcissism against him. He wants a peace prize, and he wants to be loved by his base. And they were all, other than Charlie Cuck and Beneside Shapiro and stuff, everybody was like, fuck this guy. He's Israel's bitch, blah, blah, blah. It works.
I like to think that my memes of him being fucked by Netanyahu helped just a tiny smidgen.
I think they did. I think I've reposted some of those.
I do think the massive proliferation on X had a huge impact because he does care about it, and obviously his base is largely on X in terms of he's seeing X. You see J.D. Vance replying to a lot of people on X, but that tweet is mental. So it looks like Israelis were that tweet's in the nest, but it looks like Israelis were on the way to bomb Iran, and he's tweeted it out, but I'm not sure if they'll listen to the tweet, or maybe he should have got on the phone and tried to stop them, but he's quite clearly called them out quite publicly there.
Yeah, Solomon, what's funny is, he'll tell them not to do it. They'll probably still do it anyway. And people will still believe that Trump is in control by Israel and that he calls the shots. It just doesn't matter what happens then.
Yeah, that's gonna make him look weak for sure.
Can I chime back in, Mace, Zulaman?
Yep.
Yeah, of course, go ahead.
I appreciate that. I'm going to say a lot of things that somebody's not going to agree with. I just asked for no interruptions because I didn't interrupt them. So you heard a couple things already that were just simply not true, right? You heard that apparently North Korea was made up by Trump and solved by Trump. But in March of 2016, North Korea warned of a preemptive and offensive nuclear strike in response to the annual U.S.-South Korea military exercises, which were Key Resolve and Full Eagle, which involved 17,000 U.S. troops. So Kim Jong-un declared that the country's nuclear warheads need to be ready to use at any time. So there was nuclear threat against South Korea, and this is again during the Obama administration. Trump himself said that Obama, when he said, what's the number one problem that we have right now? It's North Korea. So what did he do? He went over to North Korea and he talked to him. I don't know if you know this, but you can be killed for praying as a Christian in North Korea. So yeah, sorry if I don't have sympathy for, we went over there and we put them in check just because they do have nuclear weapons, which by the way, they lied about developing. And we said we didn't want them to get it. And they said, oh, we're not doing a nuclear weapons program. And then they developed it. Now they have it. Now they're a nuclear power in the world and we have to deal with it. So, okay, they got the leverage. I get it. But nobody wanted that to happen, right? Then I also heard earlier, and I'll say this respectfully because I got nothing against you, Ryan, but you told me that Iran doesn't have capabilities of a nuclear payload, but it didn't take me long to go and look that up. And I'm sorry, but experts would disagree with this. They have so Iran is the largest ballistic missile inventory in the Middle East. They have the Shahab 3, which is actually inspired by the North Korean missile, the No-Dong missile. And Shabab 3 is a range of approximately almost 2,000 kilometers, has a payload capacity of up to 1,000 kilograms, which is sufficient for a crude nuclear warhead. They also have a Gadar 1, which is an enhanced variant of the Shabab 3, which has about a similar range in the 750 kilogram payload. And then there's other ones and other systems, again, that are kind of in development, haven't really been confirmed. But all I'm saying is they could definitely drop a nuclear warhead in a near vicinity. Other things that we heard was, I got a few more. The other things we heard was that there was a
first two before I have a list because I got to go soon. It does not maintain that range at that weight. And another thing happened. I live in South Korea, by the way. Another thing that happened between when Foul Eagle, like you're saying, the war games exercise that they're pissed off about is because President Park was in charge and she was a piece of shit. South Korea replaced her with Moon Jae-in, like I said, in 2017. Then Trump could come over with Moon and try to make peace with North Korea.
Right, but we were told that that was a Trump-manufactured problem that he created and solved, which is just simply not true, and that was my whole point with that one. Other things that were said were that a tactical nuke was used against Yemen in 2015. There is no respected agency that has confirmed or respects that analysis. I'm sure that there was a lot of that went into an article. And yes, again, I asked for no interruptions, Sam. I didn't interrupt you.
I don't disagree about that. I don't think they use the neutron bomb either.
Yeah, there's no evidence of it. In fact, Syria has cooperations with nuclear agencies that went and tested the grounds there, and there was no nuclear radiation that was detected at all. So again, there's a lot of speculation. You can see stuff like people who like to exaggerate.
Right now,
Again, I didn't interrupt you, bro. Do you have no self-control? I didn't interrupt you. All right, and I had to hear a lot of your nonsense and all this stuff and your insults, and I didn't interrupt.
It's hard.
Right, okay,
let him finish, Truth. Please let him finish.
You know, I'm saying, like, I'll just, good lord.
Yeah, Truth, let him finish. But Paul, just one thing, like, but by the way, I'm not trying to interrupt you, but the thing is, you're listing out like 20 things at a time. Maybe choose like 3 at a time, and then one person, then we get someone dressed, then you can do another 3 or something.
If I can let's just be fair, though. Let's just be fair, Suleiman. The other people are listing 20 things at a time, and before, I don't want to interrupt them because that's not the way spaces are supposed to be, right? I have my hand up, I'm waiting patiently, and they list 20, 30 things, and that's a tactic that's being used to confuse people.
Oh my God, nobody's listing 20, 30 things. You have a lot of people that disagree with you because you're the only one that's still sitting here thinking that Donald Trump is going to save the day on a white knight horse. So people are sharing their opinions. You're definitely getting time, but we're not saying that, oh, you know, just don't share. Just do 3 at a time so that they can get addressed appropriately. It's not to shut you down.
No, I understand, mate, but I'm sorry.
Remember the conversation, but Paul, the conversation is going to be between you and Ryan, and then obviously I'll give Truth a chance to rebut the nuclear thing, because I think that wasn't Ryan's position, that was Truth's. But just do 2 or 3 at a time if you can, and then that way he'll respond and then you can go ahead. Because remember, Ryan was actually responding to your specific points previously, but go ahead.
Yeah, some people do it with respect and others don't. And I'm sorry, but Truth said at least 4 or 5 things that were just like, okay, either exaggerated or not true. So I'll just land with this. That's the tactic. There's an oversaturation of information.
No, you can list some more points. Go ahead.
Okay, so again, what you hear is exaggerations that happen. For example, Donald Trump says, oh, a regime change, make Iran great again, right? Nowhere did he say that he was going to be the one that does the regime change. We are not fans, as Americans, we are not fans of the Ayatollah and the Mullah regime that's currently in power. Now, there's a lot of people, I've met a lot of American Iranians who have told me firsthand they hate that government and they wish that their country was free from it and they want a revolution to happen there, and that's why they live over here, because they wish they were back in Iran, but they can't be because of the way things are, which I relate to because my family has that problem with the Nicaraguan government. So I get that stance, right? So it's just, they paint this picture like Iran is the saint of a government. There's no aggressions.
But it's none of your fucking business. That's their government.
I understand, mate, but
business, Paul.
Are we putting troops on the ground? No, we're not. And I'm sorry,
you
but
have
we are
the same fucking talking points. It's
He
so
dropped
crazy
bombs
to
on
me.
them.
Bombs
That's
on the
illegal.
ground.
Why you're allowed to bomb them now,
But
Paul?
no, let him finish. Let him finish. I'm sorry. It's so like, it's, to me, sometimes I'm very disappointed in seeing you of all people run around here spitting out the same dumb shit that like, you know who you're getting it from too. He's probably DMing you, to be honest with you. It's crazy.
No, this isn't hard to see. Iran has never been a friend. Like, literally, you act like they, all right, Soleimani, why was he killed? Because he trained troops that killed 1,000 troops in Iraq. This is documented. All right, there was roadside bombs. And look, don't get me wrong, we shouldn't have even been in Iraq, right? But that wasn't Trump. So now we finally have
1 million people in Iraq.
What did I just say? We shouldn't even have been in Iraq. I agree. Look, I'm one of the few people over here that has been sympathetic.
Did he kill those people?
Hold on.
Did he kill those people in Virginia or California, or did they die in Iraq in an illegal invasion?
All right, I'm going to try to finish. Sorry I'm long-winded, but I'm one of the few people here that even back then, because I did read the Wikipedia, or what was it called, the WikiLeaks, and all that stuff that was coming out, because that was the only source of a lot of information of the corruption of the U.S. government, right? That's why when Donald Trump ran the first time, he said going to Iraq was a mistake. That earned a lot of respect and support from Americans that want to stop the industrial military complex. We are against going to war in Iraq. We want to get out of the Middle East. We want to get the influence that Israel has with our politicians. I don't like seeing our politicians with Israeli flags in their office. It should only be American flags. I'm a part of all that and trying to solve all that. But that's not an overnight solution that we can make happen. And right now, Donald Trump saw a threat. Americans in moments of great conflict like this, we either have to have faith and support the person that we elected, or we don't, right? And I'm sorry, but I'm going to choose a guy who's shown that he's trying to be restrained. He doesn't resort to violence. He's trying to make peace. I know you're going to hear counter arguments to that, but I believe he really does want peace, because he could easily go and kill the Ayatollah tomorrow if he wanted to. But America doesn't want to get in the habit of assassinating world leaders.
He can't do that because he would go to jail. Okay, you can't just go and kill. Hold on, you're acting like the. You see, this is the like. Let me tell you something.
Do you see
Donald
how
Trump,
low the bar is, though? He didn't kill a leader, so
can I
he's
just
a
say
peaceful
something?
guy?
Like, do you not hear me talking truth? I mean, because I can probably, like if y'all would let me go at it with Paul, because I just think that it's crazy to me. Oh, he could have went and killed the Ayatollah. No, the hell you can't. You can't just go and murder. Not only is he the leader of Iran, but he's also a holy man. That would cause all kinds of regional conflict, first of all. And secondly, you're acting like all of a sudden it matters to you now that Iran should have a regime change because the the motherfuckers that don't live there have an opinion about it. It's ludicrous. You voted for Trump to worry about domestic issues, like getting climate change out of the Paris Accords. What did he do? He rebranded it as America First, but it's still there. Okay, school choice, it's just privatized at the state level, but the degeneracy is still there. You're not worried about any of those things that you were worried about before. Now you're talking about the percentage of uranium that's enriched, and you're talking about the leader of how that nation is not our friend. To me, it's cope. What you're doing is trying to sit here and give excuses for somebody that you know is going against what he vowed to do, which was put America first, and he's putting Israel first. And I mean, it's every argument that you're saying is so like, I don't know, mainstream.
Can I say something to him? Look at yourself. You are
One second, Minad.
I got this.
You said.
Right.
One second. Okay, hold on.
Can we just get this? Can we just drop this chick?
Can you
Yeah,
listen
one
to
second,
me?
Minad. Can you put your Can you put your hand up? Can you put your hand up, please? So I want Ryan to respond to him, and then obviously we'll respond. I've never seen anyone get you so triggered, Miz. This is what's going down. I don't know what's going on.
It's because we're friends. I get why. And I'm sorry you're triggered about it. I'm sorry.
No. Yeah. Well, I am not only. I'm very, very disappointed because it's what I'm hearing. The same. It's like a very small group of you that are all saying the same things. I don't know if you guys deploy yourselves to spaces to do this, but to me, it really bothers me because I am not. I find, my friends I take seriously. Like, what you're doing is harmful. Suleiman has literally been probably up, he probably has slept maybe 4 hours in the God knows the past 10 days because preventing this war is so important. And it's so important for people to have agency in their perception. And when somebody like you comes in and I'm saying this because we fought many other battles together, and you're going to come in here and say these things. You're not even giving it any thought. Your just allegiance is blind, and it's to Trump. It's idolatry. Like there's something.
If I could respond, mate.
I'm going to let you respond. I'm going to let you respond, but that's
Can I
where
add
I'm